What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another, I'll say late night one, but not as late as maybe the nights
No,
before.
you're not yet anyway. Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, we might be back, but we'll see. But we got a Tottenham update to bring you, and then we'll bring on some guests. But yeah, first up, we'll start talking about Thomas Frank, and the Daily Mail are reporting that Tottenham are prepared to pay Thomas Frank's release clause. Talks are ongoing between Spurs and Brentford. Discussions are also likely to focus on the level of compensation required for the members of Frank's staff to follow him to Spurs. Sources with knowledge of the situation believe it's heading towards a positive conclusion and that Frank will be announced as Ange's successor. Fabrizio Romano says that there's agreement in place between Tottenham and Frank on the project, salary, length of contract, budget, positions, and players to target this summer. The here we go is coming for Thomas Frank. David Ornstein just gave us some more confirmation as well earlier on today, which we didn't say, but reliable source. So I thought I may as well mention it, saying Tottenham make contact with Brentford for Thomas Frank. Appointment nears completion. Hope to agree a deal in the next 48 hours. And this one, which I thought was interesting, the Bleacher Report, whether you take with a pinch of salt, but they say Daniel Levy has played a critical role in convincing Thomas Frank to become the new Tottenham head coach. The two met in Daniel Levy's house recently to discuss the role, and this led to Thomas Frank informing Brentford last weekend that he wanted to leave. Thomas Frank wanted guarantees on how the club would operate with him as head coach. He will not have the final say on transfer deals, but he will be a part of the process where, a bit contrary to Ange Postecoglou, who said he was the one that did have final say on transfers. But yeah, it's interesting what Romano's saying. They've already agreed budgets, positions, and players that they're going to target this window.
I hope so, if he's agreed to come.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I think that's part of obviously the remit of the job that he's going to get. Look, it looks like it's going to be announced within the next 24 to 48 hours. So time to get excited about a new manager, a time to put everything to bed and move forward.
Actually, Sim, it's time to get excited.
Come on. We've got a new guy coming in. Look, as I've said, I think people are misunderstanding my point. It's nothing to do with Frank by my reservations about everything. It's more to do with the club and the board and everything else. That's my frustrations.
Which is completely fair enough.
And starting another project, starting yet again. And I understand Frank's going to need that time, and I'm fine with it. But it's just annoying that we're back here asking a manager for more time because of how we've been as a club over the past 5 years. Even off the back of winning a trophy, we're still back here yet again. And it just seems as though whatever we do, we always end up back here, right where we are right now. But having said that, Frank coming in the next 48 hours, I'm like getting a bit more excited about what he can do for us, and I'm very intrigued about how he's going to kind of acclimatize to the squad, what he's going to do with the players that we currently have at our disposal. Is he going to basically find new ways to fit in some of the players that we currently have? How much better are we going to be with him in charge and all that kind of stuff? And for me, I think, look, he's a great manager. He's going to, I'm certain, I said this before, I'm certain he's going to get the fans on side very, very quickly with the way he speaks. I'm certain as well that most of the squad are going to be back on side with him, even though they're angry about Ange's sacking. I think he's a good enough manager to get them on side quite quickly. So for me, I think it's a smart appointment on that front. I like him. And look, the Brentford fan who came on earlier he thinks he's elite. He thinks he's one of the best in the Premier League at the moment. And as much as I didn't want Ange sacked, I think Frank is a very good alternative, and I think he's a fantastic manager. So you've got to give him the time to kind of bed himself in, and I'm going to be behind him, of course.
Yeah, you got to say, like, he was the best available on the market. There was no one else that would fit the club as well as him, is there?
Yeah. I think he's better than Silva, better than Iraola. I think he's better than those managers. I don't even know if they were on the market. Obviously, you've got Glasner, but I don't know if he was available. But he was obviously he was a good choice. But yeah, I think when you're looking at the guys who are the best fit for this club, where we are, how we operate, then I think he's the best fit. Now, interesting to hear if it's true, Frank asking for guarantees. I wonder what those guarantees are and what he is demanding from Daniel Levy, because, as I said before, one of Frank's biggest strengths at Brentford was his relationship with the hierarchy and how they gave him a lot of time. They were very much on the same page every year about transfers and where they were heading and everything. And in fact, he was an internal appointment when he was appointed, first of all. So it's going to be, I'm interested to know, is Frank demanding transfer fees? Is he demanding just is he demanding, is he demanding backroom staff? What I would be wondering what his demands are from the board, because he's the kind of guy who's known for making it work, kind of thing, right? With what he's got. So I do wonder what his demands are from the hierarchy to give him assurance.
Surely his demands are the criticisms that have been labelled to Daniel Levy in the past, that he doesn't give managers the tools he needs to go and do the job at the expectation of what the job is, to get in around the top four, to go deep in trophies and to win a trophy. And that's what Spurs want from the role. And managers have not been set up in the right way to do that, year after year at this football club. So I imagine guarantees would be that it would be different this time.
Yeah, but my point is, Frank is known for being the guy who gets on with it, kind of thing, loses his best players and gets on with it, keeps improving.
Brentford,
Brentford. Yeah, but that's why he's got the job. So it'd be weird for Tottenham to seek him out saying, we're going to give you the job because we believe in.
I think it's a bit I think it's a bit unfair to say that's the only reason he's got the job. There are many other ways he's got the job.
It's not the only reason, but it's a big part of it.
Is he gone?
Say. No, I'm still here. You've seen. Oh no, you're still there. Go on. What are you saying?
I lost you for a second. I lost you for a second. No, I was saying that it's a bit unfair to say that's the only reason he's got the job. I mean, there's plenty of reasons he's got the job. That was just a key, unique selling point of why he got the job, like for sure. But just because he's done that at Brentford to get them into mid-table, which is an excellent job, it doesn't mean that he's not going to need more in this Tottenham role, and he's not going to be needing the tools to go and do what the board want him to do.
I understand that, but this is a manager who said Basuma, what was it? Basuma, Bentancur, and I can't remember what midfield it was that day. Kulusevski, maybe. He was like, that's one of the best midfields in the Premier League. He was saying Porro it's Trentish. So then for him to come and be interviewed for the job, having said all those things, and be a guy known for really kind of overperforming or getting more out of the players that people expect, for him to come in and now say, well, you don't have a squad good enough for top four, and I want assurances you're going to back me, would seem quite odd to me. As if, because I think he must think we do have a good squad that's good enough for challenging, I would say. From his point of view.
Maybe he thinks we've got a good enough squad to challenge for top four, but do we have a good enough squad to challenge and go, deep in two domestic cup tournaments, challenge for top four, and have a good sniff at the Champions League as well? I would say no, and he would probably say no as well.
I would say no, yeah. I'm not Thomas Frank. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we have a good enough squad, and maybe that's what his assurances are. But I think he would look at the squad and think there's a lot to work with here. I think Thomas Frank. I don't think he would immediately look at it and think, I want assurances you're going to give me a squad that can challenge. From his point of view, I would say. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would say, compared to what he had at Brentford, he would be licking his lips at what he's got available to him now and what he can potentially do with this set of players. So I just don't see Frank looking at this squad and think and getting assurances that you're going to give me a squad that I can work with, because I think he'll think he's got the basis of that. Maybe that is part of the assurances. I think Ben has gone again. Seems to have crashed. But look, maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's part of, hopefully, he's saying you're going to back me. You're going to give me the funds available to get to make a squad that can challenge on all fronts. Maybe that is part of it. Yeah. Is he back? There you are.
I don't know what keeps happening here.
Yeah, but you're back now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
I'm
heard
saying, yeah. Go on, what?
you heard what I said though.
Yeah. Well, I heard what you said before. Yeah, about
I was just
challenging.
saying, he might feel that he's got the squad to challenge in the league to get top 4, top 5, but does he feel like he's got a squad to challenge on 3 or 4 fronts this season? I just question that massively.
Mm, yeah. I mean, based on the evidence, we don't,
Yeah, exactly. So,
especially when there was an injury crisis.
you know what I mean? Like he can punch above his weight, but there's only so much you can punch.
Hmm. That's the name of the game at Tottenham, isn't it? That's what Poch had to do.
Yep. And Poch did it to an unbelievable standard, but we got nowhere near the quality at this moment in time as what Poch had.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with that.
So
But I
look,
think he'll be. But don't you think Frank will be kind of licking his lips at what we have?
of course he will. 100%. He would love the squad that we have, but that does not mean that he thinks that it's capable of challenging on all 4 fronts.
Yeah. I mean,
So look,
especially Champions League and Premier League, we're going to need a lot more depth.
yeah,
100%.
exactly. So I just think that's where it's at
Well,
right
we've
now.
given these assurances out before, haven't we?
Yeah,
Conte wanted assurances.
exactly. But look, we just got to hope and pray. That's all it is.
This is just the problem I have. It's nothing to do with Frank, as I've saying, but it's just like when I heard you say now we've got it right, I'm like, yeah, now we've got it right. Like after all these years, we finally got it right. Is that what I'm meant to believe? Not to say that he's not a good manager. Maybe this technically could be the best fit we've had. It's just like it's hard to believe after all these years, after all these managers we've gone through, who have by the way gone on to win trophies everywhere else but here. And even we just sacked the manager who did win a big trophy. Now we finally got it right. You know what I mean? It's just like how many times we have to hear all this. But I understand where you're coming from. I do, because I understand the excitement around it because he's a very, very talented manager. So I think there is a lot to be excited about with him and a lot to be intrigued about, especially just from a footballing point of view, not just from Tottenham. I think a lot of football fans and Premier League fans will be very intrigued to see how Frank gets on at a club like Tottenham, given how his career has been. Ben has crashed again. Should we bring on Brian in the meantime? I don't know. Because Brian is there. God, let's say hi. Hi, Brian.
Hello there, buddy. How are you?
Ben keeps crashing out, so I don't know what's going on there.
I saw I was making a cup of tea, and I saw him doing it. I can see he's frozen now.
There you go. But even you, I mean, in the WhatsApp, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying about Frank. I've got nothing against Frank. I've got absolutely nothing against him. I just find it hard to get excited at the moment when how many times we've been here before about the start of another project.
Yeah, we had a chat in our little You, Me and Ben group, and I said, because I was watching your live show back after it had gone on, and I got to that bit, and I had seen to the bit, and it seemed it came across to me like where you were directing it was at Frank, but then when you explained yourself, you go, no, I'm directing it at Levy. It made a lot more sense. A lot more sense. I think obviously with it, look, even for me, there is always the doubt, the question mark, the nerves, and all the other negative words you could use about is he going to be backed? And you could say that with every single manager, couldn't you? You could say it with every single manager. I think the one good thing that makes it a little bit calmer.
You're muted, Ben.
I think Ben is Ben's moved to near Stellio and got his Wi-Fi being very, very good. His Wi-Fi is cooking tonight. But yeah, I think the one good thing with when it comes to being backed or wherever he has the money is we know that Thomas Frank has a very, very good track record with buying players at a much more Brentford say price and buying these. When we used to hear Danny Rose say, oh my God, we've got to Google every player. In the past, not a lot of these have worked. Not a lot of these paid off. If Thomas Frank buys anyone during this summer window, even if I don't know them, or not know them, never heard of them, and he's in that Danny Rose Googling section, fine by me. Fine by me. Because he's got a track record of doing it.
Oh, Ben is back in the building.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on tonight, but let's keep moving. Let's keep moving with the update. And let's talk about Bryan Mbeumo again. As the Daily Mail says, it's described as highly unlikely that Tottenham hijack Manchester United's bid for Bryan Mbeumo. And Ben Jacob says that Bryan Mbeumo has made his preference to join Manchester United clear, and all his suitors are aware. Suggestions of a Spurs hijack for Mbeumo are for now premature. Manchester United solely focused on trying to agree a fee with Brentford. Spurs are looking at a right or central attacker with Dibbling on their list. But as for now, Manchester United are the only current side in formal talks with Brentford.
Yeah, it doesn't.
That's all about to change when Frank gets the here we go.
Come on. I think that, I do think Frank's going to give it a real push. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I think Frank's going to use all his powers of persuasion to try and get Mbeumo to come to Tottenham. But right now, obviously Frank's not been confirmed, albeit I'm sure behind the scenes of words are being said. But I do think in general, a hijack is probably unlikely because Man United are probably prepared to pay a bit higher wages, and we know that he's a boyhood Man United fan. So on the back of all that, and also Man United have stolen a march on us when it comes to negotiating with Brentford and all that kind of stuff. So I think all that leads to it's unlikely we're going to be able to put our foot in the door. But once maybe Frank is confirmed, if we can show we're really serious about him and look, we're the right place for him, maybe there's a case. But I wouldn't hold my breath on getting Mbeumo in.
Yeah, do you not think that Frank's having that conversation with Mbeumo saying, look, Man United have been such a mess. Follow me to Tottenham. We'll do bits.
Yeah, he'll try. I think he'll try it. But whether it's enough, I don't know.
United are about to get franked.
Yeah, let's hope so, mate.
You reckon?
No, I think it's too far done now. As much as hopefully Frank can get into him, if he's coming out and saying these things, if he's already further down the line, we were discussing this yesterday, weren't we, guys? Where it was, do you go to your boyhood club that you supported as a child, or do you go with the manager that established you, and it's a big move across London? It's a hard decision for him, but if his mind is made up, I think there's only one man that can do it. So let's see if Frank can do it.
Yeah, and there's only one man that can stop it. No, I'm joking. There's a few men that can stop this one. Let's talk about Antoine Semenyo, because there's been some interesting reports on him by Sky Sports saying that Tottenham have stepped up their interest in Semenyo. Man United remain admirers of him, even whilst pursuing Bryan Mbeumo. Whilst Tottenham target Semenyo hasn't ruled out moving to Man United, it's believed that he'd prefer to join a club playing in the Champions League. So, I mean, United are not going to go for Semenyo and Mbeumo. So do you imagine?
Neither are we.
Neither are we. Do you feel like it'll be like one goes to Man United, one goes to Spurs, or do you reckon just we won't get him?
Or we're not going to get either, probably. Yes, yeah. The most likely scenario. But I love Semenyo. I think he's been brilliant for Bournemouth over the past couple of years, especially last season. Really taking his game up a notch. Do I prefer him to Mbeumo? I think Mbeumo is a better player, but they're both kind of decent. I think Semenyo is a bit more two-footed. I think Semenyo is a bit better with the ball at his feet and dribbling than Bryan Mbeumo. I think Mbeumo is a much better finisher. He's much more deadly. He's much better running in behind and timing his runs. I also think Mbeumo is much better at creating chances and getting assists and things like that. Whereas Semenyo isn't as much of a creator as he is, like gets the ball, dribbles, and takes a lot of shots. That's kind of his game. But he's very two-footed, so he's a lot more unpredictable in that sense. But then again, Mbeumo is kind of, he's getting cutting in on his left foot, but he's that good. Sometimes it's just hard to stop, even though you know what he's going to do. So I also think Semenyo can equally play well on the left and the right wing, whereas Mbeumo is very strictly kind of right wing / can play up front a bit as well. So they both do have their strengths and their weaknesses. I definitely think Mbeumo's the better fit for us, potentially, and a better player. But I think Semenyo is a very good second choice, and I think he would fit very well. I actually think Semenyo is a better fit for us now than he would have been under Ange as well. I think because Ange with his wide players, I think he needs more creators there. Semenyo is more of a forward, gets more shots off, and he's got a very, very powerful shot on both feet as well. Very powerful shot. But yeah, I don't think he's the best. I wouldn't say he's the best finisher, but he's a very powerful finisher. So when he gets those chances, he doesn't always bury them, but a lot of the time he can get good. He gets a lot of shots off. So I like Semenyo. I think he's done wonders at Bournemouth this season. Really taking his game along. Is he still? How old is he nowadays? Semenyo? Is he still?
25.
He's 25. Okay, so he's not young. Same age as Mbeumo.
Yeah.
I'm more sure Mbeumo is ready for the step up for Champions League than I am Semenyo, but I think Semenyo is a very good player, and I think we could use him for sure in terms of the makeup of our squad. It'll be a very effective signing. I really like him.
How refreshing is it that our option Bs are actually still quite high quality?
Yeah.
Normally it's been like option A is the one you want, and then it's like a real big gap in quality. Also, what I would say is probably, I mean, tell me Paratici is not working behind the scenes without telling me Paratici is not working behind the scenes. We're linked with everyone. But what I will say, have you guys noticed, and obviously you dive a lot deeper into this than myself, it may be just what I'm seeing, it actually looks like the links that we're going for are positions that we actually need filling. It's not scattergun.
That's what's more refreshing, Brian.
Yeah, exactly. It's not scattergun. It's like, it's this one and that one, and it actually looks like, from what we're seeing so far, that the targets we're actually attempting to go for are areas that definitely need improving.
Yeah, absolutely. And look,
Yeah.
For me, like between Mbeumo and Semenyo, I mean, I would prefer Mbeumo, but if Semenyo comes in, I'll be so excited to see that. Every time I've watched him play this season, he's really, bums off seat player, really exciting to watch. 11 goals and I think 5 or 6 assists this season for Bournemouth. Improved on the year before as well. I think Mbeumo, what did he get? 19 goals this season, but I think he got 5 or 6 penalties. I mean, still got more non-penalty goals than Semenyo, but I think Semenyo can take it up another level coming to Tottenham. Very aggressive player as well. I think he would suit right in. I really do.
Yeah, I think he's a great player. He's very direct, isn't he? He is very, very direct, and it's something that we do need. And we, because of always getting there and then passing it back, he is very right. I'm going to run against my man and take it on, and that is something we desperately need.
I feel like sometimes though, when he's not shooting, I feel like his passing and his ability to create chances can sometimes be a bit wasteful. And I think sometimes it's not necessarily the wrong decision. It's more kind of the execution. He overhits his passes sometimes, and I guess he kind of doesn't always pick the right option when he's kind of creating a chance. I feel like he's at his best when he's got a shooting opportunity and he goes for a goal. And he's one of these players who, just sees half a yard, even if it's not the best angle, he'll go for a shot. And in a way, you could say maybe that's not the best thing for a Frank system, because Frank always likes players who take another step, and maybe Frank can coach that into him, which would be quite interesting.
Look, we all know Frank's track record with his forward players, so I think he can make these kind of players even better and a suit to his system for sure. And I think that goes for the players that we got at the club as well.
Just a quick word on Bournemouth. They got to feel bad for them. Hyson on his way. Zabriani's going to PSG. Now Semenyo potentially getting ripped out. One great season, and they're all. I mean, Solanke got ripped out last summer. So what happens when the Premier League vultures circle?
Why are you not saying you feel bad for Brentford? They're getting their manager in Mbeumo, potentially Nathan Collins.
It happens to them every year. This is part of their. This is part of their remit.
It's just us doing it this time.
Yeah.
Jack Grealish is doing the rounds as well. Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham are likely to add another left-sided forward, even though Matisse Tell is expected to remain at the club. They do have genuine interest in Jack Grealish. He's been left out the World Club Cup squad for Man City. It does look like they're trying to push him out to a certain extent. And if they are, that means probably a loan deal is in the offing, with Man City paying a large chunk of his wages. Do you want to see him at Spurs?
I love Jack Grealish. I think when he was at Villa, he was one of my favourite players. He really was. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. I was always a bit of a defender of him in his early years at City when people called him a flop, and in that treble season, he was absolutely phenomenal. But I don't know. Similar to the Sane reasoning, I don't know if he's lost his hunger. I don't know if it's he's getting 30 to 30 now. Maybe he just needs a like an injection of a new environment, and maybe that'll bring the best out of him again, and we can see that old kind of Jack Grealish. But something tells me that old Jack Grealish ain't coming back. That's what I'm worried about. And it's big wages again. Maybe a loan deal I wouldn't be against, but like it's how big he's on big wages. I'm assuming 300 grand a week, probably 250, something big.
Depends how desperate City are to get rid.
I like him. I don't know it doesn't really fit in as a left winger really for a Frank. How Frank usually
probably more as a 10, I would say.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't mind him as a rotating with Madison maybe in that kind of role. Look, if he's still hungry to kind of be at his best all the time and show that confident Grealish who's like larger than life and thinks he can take on the world, then I'm happy for it. But I kind of feel like he's won everything now at City. 4 titles, whatever, like a Champions League. He's just won so many trophies. I don't know if he's got the hunger still in him, but maybe you can prove me wrong.
Yeah, there's rumours of him going all sorts of places. I think the biggest link is to Everton. You see him going to Everton.
The thing is, the reason why I think those kind of moves make more sense for him is because he goes to Everton, right? Everything's going to go through him. He's just going to be the main man, and that maybe will give him that spark again. He comes to Tottenham, he's going to have to, compete with Madison, all these different like good quality players, and like he's not. I think he needs to be the main man in a team, and maybe that can get him his spark back.
I agree with that. Brian, anything?
Yeah, no, I think Simeon calling Everton is actually a great shout. Going into their new stadium, new owners or newish owners, what a statement to make that would be for Everton. I will say with him coming to us on a loan, you can never turn down Jack Grealish. When you're talking about the hunger sim, he's got to force his way back into an England World Cup team. That's going to be his biggest drive wherever he goes. If he was available and we could get him, I think wages are a massive problem. Massive problem.
Really needs on 300 grand a week.
Exactly. Which immediately, unless Man City are going to cover some of the wages for him to go on loan, I think
that will be the case, Brian, though, because like they're desperate to get him out. They're desperate to get him out.
Yeah. So I don't think you can turn a Jack Grealish down if the possibility comes up. But I think I hadn't even thought of it. What you just said, Sim, you do come out with some nuggets, don't you? That is a nugget of gold. That's a really
Which one?
The Everton one, the explanation of why it could be I think it's a great shout. But if we had the opportunity to get him, I would hope Spurs explore it.
Yeah, I'm undecided on it, to be honest. I think if you ask me if I prefer a Semenyo over a Grealish, I would say yes every day of the week. Like Semenyo's that bit younger, that bit more fresh, maybe a bit more to prove in the game as well, going to a bigger club. I think I'd prefer Semenyo over a Grealish for sure.
Grealish has got 4 goal contributions in his last 2 seasons combined.
Yeah, which is mad.
That's mad.
Yeah,
he hardly played this season.
6 goal contributions. He's got 4 goals and 2 assists. 2 assists, 1 assist this season and 1 assist last season.
He barely played this season, though, didn't he?
He played the equivalent of 890 minutes.
Yeah, you see what I mean.
And the season before was 11.
Yeah. He's never been one that has got mad amount of goal
19 games for the past 2 seasons.
He's never been one that has got mad amount of goal contributions, even at New Villa.
He's still got decent. His last season at Villa, he got 16. The season before that, 14. Season before that, 12.
But I mean, for £100 million player, you still expect a bit more than that.
I get that. He wasn't. I understand your point. He was never bought for the goal contributions, but he still provided a bit of a threat in the final third. It's like that seems to be completely disappeared.
Yeah. Last story that we're going to talk about today is regarding Kim Min-jae of Bayern Munich. Bleacher Report is saying that Min-jae has been offered to several Premier League clubs, including Tottenham. Jonathan Tah arrival at Bayern Munich, the newly crowned German champions, will be looking to move one of Kim and Upamecano on this summer. Upamecano is currently in talks over a new deal with Bayern, and sources expect him to commit to a new deal in the coming weeks. So that means Kim Min-jae will be available this summer. Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Newcastle have all been made aware of that. With Kim Min-jae, you imagine that if Romero was to go, would you be happy with Kim Min-jae as a replacement?
I like Kim Min-jae. I think his Bayern move is being a bit mixed. Obviously, he was phenomenal at Napoli when they won the league, so you can't really forget that. But yeah, he's gone to Bayern, and he's been, I don't know, some people like him, some people don't like him. It's and obviously clearly there. I think this is the second summer that there have been rumours about him leaving. I think, but this season, I think was it this season or last season he fought his way back into the team? I can't remember which one it was.
Last season he lost his place to Dyer under Tuchel, and this year he's played more or less a significant part of the season.
Yeah, so I think this is a guy who's clearly very, very strong. I think he's maybe a bit quicker than people give him credit for, but he's obviously not the quickest, but not a slouch. Obviously amazing in the air. But I don't know. It's hard to know why he hasn't really worked out at Bayern Munich, for why they don't fancy him, and why he can't seem to nail down a kind of a regular spot, like as a proper someone they rely on for some reason. If he can get back to that Napoli form, I think it would be an absolute bargain. I think Frank would love him, to be honest. I do think Frank would love him. So on that basis, because I'm still thinking in my head we got Ange, but we don't. So on the basis that it's Frank,
move on, man. It's time to
on the basis that it's Frank. I think he'd be a good move.
Yeah, I would love Kim Min-jae at Spurs. I think he's brilliant. I really do. Man mountain of a player, and can be decent with the ball at his feet as well. So I think if Romero was to go, I think bringing someone of Kim Min-jae and his stature in, I think would be brilliant for us.
I think it's a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer. Then you look again. If you lose Romero, obviously it's a massive, massive hit. It's a massive hit because we know what he can be like. If Kim Min-jae, people discuss Romero's form being up and down a lot, don't they? During his time, and don't get me wrong, today this season at the end he was sensational. Kim Min-jae brings, if he can get back to his Napoli form, and you look at that back there, you've got strength, aerial dominance, you've got youth. If you've got Phillips and Busquets, that it kind of complements the entire array of defenders we'll have. I think it's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. But that is all the news stories we've got for you today. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And we can move on and talk about other things while I clip this up. Just give me a sec.
Brian, let me ask you, we were chatting before about Frank, and me and Ben having a bit of a discussion about there was a report about his assurances he's going to want from the board. What do you think those assurances are from your point of view?
I don't know, but before I answer that question, I just want to say something very quickly about your stream earlier. I spoke to Ben, the Brentford fan that you had on this afternoon, or this morning, or whatever time was yours. He was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic and loved everything he had to say. Obviously, it's very positive about Frank, but I thought he spoke really well. Assurance, first of all, I think I'm waiting to see. I think we're all waiting to see just how much of his backroom staff is coming. And I think a lot of it's going to be, if it is scouts or whatever, that they have a lot more power than scouts have had previously in previous Tottenham Hotspur backroom staffs. I think that hopefully he'll have a lot more to do with transfers. I know
apparently part of the assurances is he's not going to have the final say on who.
Not the final say, but no, what I'm saying is with his people having more focus on what he wants, he will speak with his scouting network, won't they? We've seen it before that we've heard that managers give lists and then Levy sees what he can do and then it's, here you go, this is what you've got out of that list. I think hopefully his scout and talent ID have got enough power in there to say, this is what we do, this is why you brought us. You never know. With a manager asking for assurances of Levy, you never know if it's give me at least 2 years. You never know if it's I need X, Y, Z, because you got to remember, Frank has never had this kind of money. He's if we're serious, he's going to have a bounty compared to what he comes to with Brentford. He's also going to have the luxury of not having to get rid of his top men every year. Unless ridiculous money comes in. He's normally building, thinking, right, okay, how am I going to build when this one goes? He's not going to have that. So I think there needs to be some flexibility between him and Frank with the assurances, but they need to be set in stone. they need to be set in stone. Like you said, but one of the things you said, and you said in the chat, we cannot keep doing these 2 years, different avenue, 2 years, different avenue, 2 years, different avenue, wholesale changes. They got to stick with this because they've got a coach that will improve players. They got to stick with Frank. And I would have said if they'd kept Ange in the summer, they've got to stick with Ange for the season, because what is the point? But it is Frank. I think there's got to be those kind of things. And also, I think the other one is style of play. Well, like when Levy said, we're going to play the Tottenham way, and then we went and signed Nuno, Conte, the exact opposite. He's got to have time. I think with Nuno as well, he was told to play a back four by Paratici, wasn't he? He did have a back five at Wolves, and then I hope he has said, I will have the freedom to do what I want, tactic-wise, formation-wise, because that's what he does.
But Brian, do you not think it is a bit of a problem, because Ange Postecoglou made it pretty clear in a number of press conferences that he had final say of the player that came into the club? It's not a problem that Frank doesn't have that.
Well, I would say with, I don't know if Harry Butler is spamming, or there has been the here we go from Fabrizio from Mbeumo. That would be big news. I don't think the talent ID with Ange is as good as Frank. And I don't think anyone really can dispute that. So he's had the same team for a long time, hasn't he? I think, listen, judging Tottenham Hotspur's transfer policy and recruitment is such a minefield compared to what is Brentford. As long as it gets calm like it was at Brentford, again, like the guy at Brentford was saying, everyone knows what everyone is doing, and everyone in their positions do what they do. I just hope Spurs can have that kind of normality and working relationship and actually have things in place.
Yeah, but do you not think it is a problem that, that he's not going to have the final say, though? Like, why would they give it to Ange but not Frank?
Scott Munn. Scott Munn, we've heard, haven't we? Whether it was breaking yesterday that Scott Munn was the one that appointed him, and Levy needed to be convinced. That's what I was looking for. So hopefully this time this way works. We're never going to, like I said, Ben, in all the time you've been a Spurs fan and Sim, and we've known each other, when has Spurs transfer policy ever been plain sailing? With whoever's got the decision?
Never.
So if Frank feels confident enough to say, I don't need final decision, I trust my recruitment team, then I think he's got enough history to prove his track record, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or their track record.
About Frank, he kind of always works with what he has, doesn't he? And he always develops a system with the players he's got rather than the other way around. So
it's only one example of it, though. Like, only one club he's had the example. He's never worked.
That's all he's had. That's all we're hiring him off that job.
Agreed, but he's never worked with bigger funds before and at a bigger club, so we don't really know what he's going to do at the bigger club and what the kind of expectations of him are.
Well, I'm pretty sure if we hired him to develop a system for the players that we have, didn't we?
Yeah, but then hopefully,
as well. It's not just what we've got. We got to build on it. It's like he hasn't come in. I very much doubt he's come in, and they've said to him, "Look, you're not going to get many signings here. You just have to work with what you've got."
Never said no signing. I'm just saying he'll get the signings that he gets, and the club are going to do their due diligence, and he'll have to create a system for those players.
I think, Sim, as well, this time we might see, and I think, like I said before, when we're seeing the quality of players that are linked as Plan A and Plan B, maybe we'll do what other teams are doing, and when it comes to refreshing every year, we'll just need 2 or 3 additions. It won't be wholesale, and that money that he would have spent on bits and bobs and quantity over quality can be spent on pure quality, because, like Ben said, he has not had the backing and the power of a club like Tottenham Hotspur before. So maybe he adapts like he does with games and says, you know what, now I need a number 6, I need a right winger, and that's my transfers done because I'm confident with the team I'm coaching, the youngsters coming through. So maybe that's going to be a change of direction for Frank as well.
It's
he was heavily involved in the recruitment at Brentford. Like, he was like a central part of it.
I'm sure he's going to be heavily involved in the recruitment here as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. No, he will be. He will be for sure.
And it's interesting you mentioned before Tell was still expected to come, and we're still expected to sign a left wing on top of him. That tells me, if that is true, that that Son could really be on his way out.
What, this summer, or you think we'll still give him another year, or what? I mean, with the
This
squad,
summer, I
with
would say, that's what I'm saying. This summer, it sounds like to me.
It's gathering pace, isn't it?
If we're signing Tell and another left winger, it doesn't tell me Son's staying, does it?
do you think we are actually going to sign Tell and another winger though, and 11 left winger?
I'll be surprised. I think more likely is Tell will be our left winger signing.
I guess if you sign Tell, and a Semenyo can play on both sides. That would make sense.
And then you've got Hojbjerg there, you've got Johnson, you've got Mikey Moore even potentially. And then you've got Tell and Son.
You're saying Son's going to go. So if we're gonna get rid of Son and get rid of Richarlison and bring in Tell, Semenyo, and João Pedro, would that be enough for you? Would that be a significant improvement?
Tell, Semenyo, and João Pedro in place of Son. Who?
Richarlison.
Son, Richarlison, and who? Werner. Yeah, probably. I'll probably swap them right now.
Yeah.
But I will say that unfortunately, the more and more this is going on, it does look like this could be goodbye for Sonny, doesn't it?
Yeah,
they were going to sign a left winger and Tell.
Yeah, it'll be a very sad day when Son leaves.
It'll be an incredibly sad day. I'm still not convinced with João Pedro. Maybe just haven't seen. I mean, a lot of his goals are penalties as well, aren't they?
Yeah,
a lot of his goals.
He also wins a lot of those penalties.
Yeah, true. He's more of a, from what I'm saying, he's more of a link-up man than the main focal point, isn't he? So again, it could be a.
But he's more of a forward. But he is more of a forward than a number 10, though. I would say as much as he's more of a link-up man.
He's a 9.5.
Yeah, and kind of plays off the striker. Look, he wouldn't. To be fair, he wouldn't be my first choice, but I still think he's a pretty good option. But he comes at a very big Premier League premium. That's the worry. But obviously,
70 million for João Pedro. I don't know about that, man.
How much?
70. They're saying.
That's that's. Well, put it this way. I know he's probably going to 65 million gets you a Gyökeres. Whether we can pay his wages and get the deal done, and whether Frank says, "Yeah, I want another 2 or another striker up there," like if someone said to you, "Go get Gyökeres for 65 or Pedro for 70,"
yeah, I'm taking Gyökeres all day long.
Oh, 100%.
But I do like the dynamic of what a Solanke and a Pedro could have up front, because it gets Solanke back in, the positions potentially that he was in for Bournemouth, and you have João Pedro linking up the play, coming a bit deeper.
Yeah,
if you have Gyökeres, you don't have that dynamic. Although
there is that.
You can't turn down a Gyökeres though.
That's the thing. But are there any other players that you've heard we've been linked with within the Pedro mould or position? Or players
not in terms of striker position. Not too many. Obviously, Jonathan David, but he looks like he's off elsewhere. Who else has been linked to in strikers? Muniz, but that was ever realistic. Not many others.
Let's get through these super chats. There's a couple to get through. Michael Hellman saying signing Frank was now a preemptive maneuver to avoid an El Sacico 2.0. I'm very optimistic about this Frank signing. Yeah, me too, man. I really am optimistic about it. I'm actually really excited of what next season and the next couple of seasons can really bring with Thomas Frank. I really am.
What do you mean avoiding El Sacico 2.0? Is he saying there was going to be another game where there was between two managers who could be sacked? That's what El Sacico is.
Ange and Amorim.
And another Ange and Amorim.
Ange and Potter. There'll be quite a few of them.
Yeah. Ange and Arteta.
Really?
A lot of Arsenal fans are saying this is it for Arteta. It's this season or nothing, or you got to go.
Yeah, they talk a big game, but if they finish second again, they're not going to sack him.
But a lot of Arsenal fans might want him out, though.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they said that this season.
Watching Arsenal fans cry over Robbie Williams as well is wonderful. Just anything to keep this party going is brilliant. And Robbie Williams
is turning into GOAT status, man.
he is.
What a
He
guy.
is. It's incredible.
Yeah. Phil P with a super chat. Big up to Phil. He says, "You three boys look fresh. Must be the trophy shine."
It is.
It's that trophy glow. Come on.
Trophy shine with the Toronto Sun is a winning combination. Is a winning combination.
And he also says, "Get ready for the KDL end of season do."
Where are we going? Where are we going, Phil P?
They said, "Woo!" That he always says.
We're going to IKEA.
Oh man.
Let's do it.
So Paul O'Keefe said on the podcast yesterday that Spurs are definitely in the market for a 6 this summer, which is music to all our ears.
Yep.
What kind of 6 do you reckon we can bring in? I mean, we spoke about João Palhinha. The thing is with João Palhinha is, however good he is 29 now, going to be 30 next season.
I think that's fine.
Is that something Spurs are going to do, though?
I hope so.
I think a short-term deal for him, I think that's fine because we've got a lot of young centre mids. Like the reason why I'm like, for example, like wingers, like I wouldn't want an old one. First of all, I think age for a winger is a lot worse. It's very hard to find aging wingers who are good rather than aging centre midfielders. It's a bit different. And also, I think wingers being youthful and being energetic and being kind of having that spark, that is a big advantage. That you lose that with age, whereas experience as a winger, I know you have Salah, but these are very much the exceptions. Whereas when you got centre mids like number 6s, you got experience. That's a massive advantage a lot of the time. So I think someone like Palhinha, even though he's 29, 30. I don't see that as much of an issue as it is for a winger to be 29 or 30.
I agree with you, and I would bring him in, but would the club take that same stance?
You look at it, and they've said that they're going to spend and they're going to look for experience.
Yeah,
that was the exact line. Well, that's exactly what you get with him. That's exactly what it is. And if we need one, a guy like I said that knows the Premier League inside out, comes in. His stats were through the roof, weren't they? I think it was the midfielder that made the most tackles. I mean, Danny D's just put the other one in, which is Douglas Luiz, isn't it, from Juve? Which was,
I would like him.
Which is, I'd say yes to either of them. Premier League experience, come in, know the job.
Edison from Atalanta, I'd like him as well.
Yeah, I heard a rumor. I don't know if it's going to come to pass though. I heard that if the Saudi club that were in for Bruno weren't going to get Bruno, they were going to look at Edison and try to get him in the club. So I guess watch that transfer for if it happens or not. But the one I was talking to you about today, Sim, Angelo Stiller. Apparently Real Madrid going to gazump Arsenal for Zubimendi. That would be absolutely hilarious after getting the here we go and everything.
That'd be amazing.
If that does happen, didn't Florentino Perez come out and say that he's working on a surprise deal or something?
Well, there was some rumours. I don't think he said it himself. Yeah.
But if they don't go for if Real Madrid don't go for Stiller, is that an option that we can go for?
Maybe he's desperate to play in white.
There you go.
Yeah, I would love Stiller, but I don't know how realistic it is. If he's on the radar of Madrid, I don't know if he's someone who'd come to us. But I mean, I'll definitely want
that. Lucas Bergvall was on the radar of Barcelona.
But he was 18. It's a different scenario. But yeah, I mean, sure, I would take him if he wants to come. I'll definitely take him, but I wouldn't get my hopes up.
There's one cough kit. I can see him in the chat. He said he's been saying this day. Sander Berg.
Yeah, Sander Berg. I was just thinking about him. He's a good player.
Ben is on a mission with this one.
I've liked him since the Sheffield United days.
So there's another.
Fulham. He's done good at Fulham.
Yeah.
There's another one. There's a few about, isn't there?
And I also think the number 6 role is also pretty. It's not as specified as it was in the Ange system as it is for Brentford. Yeah. So I think the scope for what we could be looking for is maybe pretty much what Ange needed was like Rodri, essentially. If you weren't going to get Rodri, you're pretty screwed. And now under Frank, it's a bit different. I think the scope for what we could be looking for should be broadened with him in charge.
Mm. Any other names that come to mind? Douglas Luiz?
Yeah, we've spoken about him, didn't we? I really like him. I really like Douglas. Also, I think Douglas Luiz gives us a bit of a profile in midfield we don't have, which is someone who can dictate play a bit with his long range passing. And
how old is he now?
What, 27 maybe? 28?
Is he that young? I thought he was going to be older than that. 27.
Again, the age profile has been brilliant as well. The rumor, or we're speculating. I mean, I think there has been a Douglas Luiz rumor, hasn't there, that we've had recently? But I mean, the age range of what we're talking about is like the right age we're looking at as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's lovely times.
Someone says Belabor from Brighton, but
yeah, that's never happened. They're going to want 100 million for him.
Can we get Conor do a swap deal for Conor Gallagher from Romero?
No, doubt it.
Conor
Zakaria.
The day
people saying Manu Kone.
There's but also I think you were talking about it yesterday. Was it before I came on, or was it an update you done? Hayden Hackney. I know right now, obviously he's not a name as in we're talking like the real experience. He is a youngster, but he is a real potential. I really like the look of him. Do I think he is the number 6 answer? No. Do I think if we could get him and a number 6, like you said, if we could get a Paulinho on loan, like you were saying, Sim,
is he a number 6? Hayden,
and then get someone like a Hackney. Then you got some kind of you're getting some kind of spot. I think Hackney is a very good player.
He is a very good player. Very aggressive in the middle of the park, knows how to put a foot in. I think he's like a deep line playmaker.
Yeah.
There are options. I would like him, but when you're looking at the likes of Paulinho and Stiller and these kind of Douglas Luiz's and Hayden Hackney is like a level below. You know what I mean? He hasn't.
Sure.
You need, if we're talking about someone that is really going to come in and be a game changer, he's not that just yet, but he could be. He could be. I like him. I really like him, and he could have a bit of a Adam Wharton effect.
What a player he is! I can't even say his names. I'm not going to try and butcher it. But someone in the chat from Planet Dom, Morton, is it Humland?
Humland.
I don't know anything about him. I don't know a single
tattoo, mate.
Oh, he's the one with the filth tattoo. Okay, that's why I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Okay, I've blocked him from
very quiet on the likes of Hugo Larsson, João Gomez, these kind of people.
Hugo Larsson, yeah. Hugo Larsson's been brilliant this season for Frankfurt.
And obviously João Gomez we're heavily linked with the Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves are being stripped for parts as well. I feel sorry for Wolves. Wolves are being stripped apart this summer.
Who else is there? There must be some more players that we're not thinking of.
There's a lot of players you mentioned.
Meme Game says, would you guys prefer Xavi Simons or Bryan Mbeumo?
Oof.
I think for what we need, Bryan Mbeumo, to be honest.
Yeah, we definitely need Bryan Mbeumo, but I think Xavi Simons is maybe a bit better. He's a bit younger, but
he's got more star quality.
Yeah, star quality.
But there have been rumours about attitude issues with him. Bryan Mbeumo is obviously not one of those dickheads because Thomas Frank was not having him in the team.
That word.
I would take Mbeumo over him. I don't know. Some people would probably call me crazy for that, but I actually would.
I think I would choose Simons.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I want us to go. The only reason I would probably say Mbeumo is we know he can do it in the Premiership, and I think Simmons would be more expensive, wouldn't he? Value transfer fee wise, not wages or anything like that.
Yeah, potentially.
And I think Mbeumo comes in and he knows the Premier League, and obviously No, I was about to say Simons obviously comes in. Will he adapt? And you got that bedding in time. Whereas right now, I think we need players, especially with the start of the season. Obviously, Frank being not under being questioned or anything, but he's going to be under pressure. He's probably going to want players that he knows he can trust and use, doesn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
What did you think, Brian, of links to Nathan Collins?
I hadn't heard it, but I was talking to Ben. I saw it wasn't me, sorry, I forgot to say Ben. I was watching a show where someone did a comparison to Nathan Collins and Branthwaite, and Collins was ahead of him in most of the stats. And then you heard the Brentford fan talking about him. And what I think we need some players that are just good. They just do their position. They're dependable. They're there. They do it. Collins has hardly been injured, I think, this season. I think he was an ever present. Not
every
saying
minute. He played every single minute.
There you go. He's just an old school defender's defender. He's just a complete defender. And sometimes you need these players. Not saying that Nathan Collins is the one and should be him, but sometimes you need these players that just come in, do their job well, and get on with it. And it don't. Again, like we said with Thomas Frank, if his name was Nicholas Colinsino, people would probably be like, let's have a look at him. He's a good, solid defender that obviously, if Thomas Frank comes in and says, I want this guy, I've worked with him, he will do the exact job for me. Who are we to say? Does the name excite me? Because obviously I wouldn't say it excited me, but like I said, any player that Thomas Frank says this season, I want him there because I trust him or he does exactly what I need, then go get that guy. Go get that guy. If he knows he's going to want to play football and use that kind of defender to play the type of football he wants, then do it.
If Romero leaves and we sign Nathan Collins, like it will be extremely underwhelming. Whether he does well or not, like it will just be a very underwhelming signing. Like when you can get the likes of potentially a Min-jae or who else have we been linked to at right centre back? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it would be very underwhelming. If it was like a backup option, I'd be happy with it. But to be our starting right centre back to replace Romero, I just don't know, man.
I think that would dance, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who's better? I don't even know who's better, Nathan Collins or Danso.
I'll say that quickly. What I will say is I was under the impression as well, and I was saying this when I was on the street, if we had sold Romero pre-Frank, a lot of us were saying there won't be a replacement. There's Dragusin, there's Danso, there's Jurskovic, there's Phillips, there's this one. So even bringing in one, not saying it will be Romero-esque or anything, but I was, and a lot of people would have been like, we're not going to sign a replacement. The replacements are already there. So it'll just be bringing another number.
The thought of going into the season, getting ready for Champions League with Collins and Ben Davies as two of our options. I know we're very excited about Frank, but let's not like.
That wouldn't be the best.
That would be horrific.
Mate, he's come in to work with what he's got and do the business, mate. That's why we've signed him.
He'll lead us to Champions League glory. With could you imagine people doubting him, and then we won the Champions League with Collins and Davies in defence,
heading it in the final.
Give him a statue. Give him a statue if that was to happen.
Vuskovic actually made his debut for Croatia tonight. Came on in the last couple of minutes. Big up to him. And Brennan Johnson as well, back on the score sheet tonight for Wales. In a mad game, wasn't it, Sim? Mad game.
Yeah, 3-0 down against Belgium. Got it back to 3-3, and then De Bruyne with a dagger right at the end. Also, if you saw, Brennan Johnson had a very eventful game. He scored the goal that made it 3-3, but also in the first half, they gave a very harsh penalty against him.
Really?
A handball, which was, I've seen it back. I can't believe they gave it, to be honest. It's one of those where he's like a centimetre away. His hands are by his side, and it hit his hand, and they gave a penalty for it.
No VAR, nothing.
There was VAR, but they stuck with the decision.
Ridiculous. If Sonny does lose, go on. Sorry, Sim.
Just another thing, I was also there's a clip going around. Semenyo said the toughest opponent he's faced this season was Destiny Doggy.
Come on.
He's coming just for that. He's having nightmares of Destiny.
Exactly. You don't want the smoke no more.
If you can't beat him, join him.
Right.
If Sonny does leave, What's our predictions for who Frank names the captain?
Well, you say that. It could be if Romero leaves as well, who becomes the 2 vice captains?
Well, Maddison is one of the vice captains, but will Frank really make Maddison a club captain?
And the thing is, he could name it Vicario, but he might be ousted for Kinski. I've got a feeling.
Yeah.
Decky? People are saying Decky?
I'll tell you who mine is. It's Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro.
You're trying to find something to say about it.
No, I was going to say, I remember the Brentford fan was going on about the high praise Frank has given Porro in the past. And what a turnaround from me, from being with you for the Angie's first game and dropping to my knees when I heard he was starting a right back over, can't remember what I'm about to say, over Emerson. To me now wanting him to be the captain of Tottenham Hotspur.
Barry would be proud of you today, mate.
It's because I love Porro going forward. Defensively, I thought he was a car crash at times. I love Pedro Porro. If there's anyone that deserves, that I think needs to be promoted into that leader team, because you can say Kulu, but Kulu's going to be out till what, about Christmas or something like that. So yes, you can put him on the leadership team, but on the pitch, he's not really going to have the impact I think Pedro Porro does.
What about Bentancur?
Yeah.
Could it be Bentancur?
Someone like Bentancur? Yeah, I think so. I think he just probably keeps it at Maddison, to be honest.
Really? Maddison? I don't know if he does.
Who's yours, Ben, then?
I can't see Maddison being the club captain. I just can't.
Who else?
Well, we just named a few.
Who? Porro?
We named Bentancur.
Yeah, Bentancur's a possibility. But I know Vicario's there, but I'm saying I think he could be ousted for Kinski, so I don't know if he'll be club captain.
It's Nathan Collins.
Can you imagine?
That's what
Ben Davis.
He's going to come in and be named captain, and he's going to take over everything. He's going to take over.
Kulusevski we mentioned as well.
Yeah, Decky's an option.
Do you not think? I think the most likely one could be Bentancur, you know.
But like Terry said, a good friend of mine, Mr. Terry Wright, his temperament. Do you reckon he's got the temperament to be a captain?
Who? Bentancur? Yeah, I think he does. I think he's a leader. I think he is a leader on the pitch.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's growing into that role as well.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a lack of leadership, don't we? We've been saying it all season.
Yeah.
Can you buy someone and make them captain straight away?
Like Paulinho.
Is it going to have to be someone within now?
I prefer it when it's someone within. I don't like signing captains, but it's done before. Chelsea signed Silva, made him captain.
I mean, he commanded respect immediately, though, didn't he, for what he's achieved? I think I'm going to be banging the Porro drum.
I don't know about Porro for captain. I like Porro as a player, but captain, I'm not so sure.
When we've been on, I'm like, I want that vocal captain, that one that shouts the script, and literally, he does that. He does that. For me, he influential wise and what he's like on the pitch. He's the exact kind of guy I'd like to be my captain.
I don't know. There's just no proper standout options, though, is it? And that's a bit of a worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not stocked full of leaders.
Correct.
And that's been one of the problems that everyone's always pointed out, isn't it? So,
you know who's one, if he was a bit older, could be him, was Bergvall. He's 19, 20, so I mean, you can't make Bergvall captain.
The way Bergvall progressed last season, this season is going to be a big season for him. A big, big season for him.
I can see him being a future captain, Bergvall.
Yep.
I think he's got leadership ability. Bloody brilliant football player. And, in a few more years, if he keeps going on the trajectory he is, he's going to be one of those players that just demands respect.
What happens if he doesn't sign a contract?
Then we can just sit here and cry. that guy is going straight to the top. I guarantee you that. What a player we have on our hands.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about Bergval. I was talking about Bentancur. Yeah. That makes more sense.
It's not even past 12 o'clock yet. We're normally streaming till 2 in the morning.
Bergval, man.
He's been.
What's the latest on him? Is he back? He's back on training, isn't he?
Wasn't he back in training before the cup final?
Well, individual training, but like, I think he wanted to stay. He said he stayed behind before going on holiday to make sure his ankle is fully fit or something.
George Orton says, "Bring back Ollie Skip to be captain. Captain, if you know, you know."
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Ollie Skip is club trained.
He is club trained, but should he be club captain?
Well, no, get Harry Winks back. Let's bring Winks.
Mourinho did say it, didn't he? That this guy's a future Spurs captain.
He did.
I think that one would set more pigeons amongst than Collins. Can you imagine if we bring Winksy back? Not that it will.
Winksy and Skippy.
Collins, Skip, and Winksy to lead the way.
He says, "Boys, I wasn't being serious, but there's always a bit of truth in every joke."
I'm just imagining the meltdown that will have on social media if we not just Skip. If we actually did bring in Collins, that would be, I know he's a good defender and they're saying he's good, but the meltdown, you're turning us into Brentford. What is this? Lack of ambition. Same thing again. The meltdown will be mad.
Yeah,
do you know what?
I'm picturing the meltdown, but I'm also picturing Sim on the signing video, justifying it and doing all the tactical videos as well, how he's going to revolutionize our centre-backs.
You've got to do it. You've got to give him the prop.
The great thing as well is not one of those meltdowns are going to come from me. It's going to be a glorious summer. There's not going to be a solitary meltdown from me. Apart from Levy, there will not be a solitary meltdown apart from our chairman, and it's going to be glorious.
John Patrick says, "Do you remember Ben? Do you remember talking to me at the Bricklayers after the parade? Up by the bar, it was great to meet you. What a legend!" Come on, Ben.
Did you buy me a drink? Did you buy me a drink, John?
It must be hard for you guys when people, and I know Johnny's a great supporter of all the channels, he's a top guy. It must be hard for you when people come in the chat and go, "Do you remember me? You saw me at XYZ on a Spurs match day." Because
it happens quite a bit of games. We'll go, "Oh, I saw you at this game 3 years ago." I'm like,
I've been with you in the walk up to games, in games, and it is non-stop. It is non-stop for you two, and you're always happy to take photos, say hello, whatever. But when people say, "Oh, do you remember me? I saw you at the goal line bar," you're like, yeah. It must happen to you guys so many times. So many.
It does happen, and particularly when they're like, "Oh, I saw you in Milan," or "I saw you in this place or that place," and we're always so drunk. I can barely remember the conversation I've had with Simeon, never mind who I've met at that trip.
He says he was talking about Grandpa.
Yeah, of course I remember. Of course.
Big up, John.
Big up to you. Umar says, "Why are Man United after bigger names even without Champions League?"
They're a bigger name, unfortunately.
Yeah, and they're trying to act and right the wrongs that have been over the past couple of years. Ruben Amorim has come in, and the owner guy as well, who's come in and stripped everything bare. He's trying to get some good players in, and they're trying to get back on track.
Yep. Yeah, they'll always flex their financial muscle. They've got the money that comes into that football club from worldwide support and everything. They may be in a very, very bad place football wise, but when it comes to the money that comes into that organization, it's just ridiculous. It's insane.
But Brian, your beloved Alfie Devine, he's going to be going into the last year of his contract.
Well, we best give him a new one. We best bloody give him a new one right now, Frank. Do your job. Do your job. again, he is one of the youngsters I think that can shine under him. I really do. You saw from pre-season, Ange played him in a host of positions, and I actually think Alfie Devine was one of the stars of pre-season. And yes, I am very, very, very biased about it when it comes to Alfie. And I think I think Frank could be the manager, but I do agree that I would love him to go get a championship loan, whether it be a West Brom, whether it be Birmingham with Davies, who knows him very well, or a Premier League team, but preferably one of those two for 6 months, maybe, or maybe the season. Let's just hope he gets a new contract.
Do you feel like his loan at Westerlo went as well as it could have done?
He started a lot more games than he had at previous ones. Obviously, he had the hamstring near the end of the season. They were very happy with him. He performed well, but again, this is the Belgian league, with no disrespect. Everywhere he goes, he's done well, apart from when he had that. I think the dampener was when he went to Plymouth, because obviously he went to Plymouth to have the step up from Port Vale. He went there with a manager that had worked with him with England, and then straight after that, they got rid of the manager, and he really suffered. He really suffered because of it. He needs to go somewhere. But no, they were happy. They were happy. It was amongst the goals. Quite a few got some assists. He's such a great talent, but no one's been able to find a role for him. And I hope Thomas Frank has a word with him and either sorts out a new contract, says you're staying with me, because he is a player I think he can develop highly.
What is his best position, do you think?
He can play. Do you know what? He has played so many places all over the place.
Yeah.
I think he's got the talent to be any 6, 8, or 10.
But he's got to have a preferred and best position. What is it?
8. I personally, from how I see him playing, if you look at that game against QPR when he came on, I can't remember if you guys were at that game or did the watch along.
No, we did the watch along for it, I think.
Yeah, he was buzzing around everywhere. He was buzzing around everywhere, box to box. Like I've said before, from the connection I had to Wigan at the time, when they spoke about Alfie Devine, his medical team, they were saying that it's like he's got 3 lungs. It's like his stamina and his fitness are like things that people have never seen before. They were referring it to, and it's not quality-wise, but people you hear all the time talk about how fit James Milner is.
Yeah.
How even at this age he can outrun most. He's got an engine. That's Alfie Devine.
They said that about Becky in the first half of the season.
Well, this is the thing with Alfie, and I just think you got to remember everywhere he's gone as well, or through Tottenham, you'd hear Alistair Gold say within 6 months they moved him up a level because he exceeded. When he went to England, they've done the same as well. I think he needs a season in the Championship, and then he's ready to go. I just hope we give him a contract, because my biggest fear is if we do let him go, whether it be on a free next summer or we get money for him down the line, in 2-3 years, people will be going, oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, I love what I've seen so far from him in a Spurs shirt in terms of, well, not too much to go on, but
yep.
I agree with you in terms of pre-season this year, or last season, he looked brilliant. He looked, and I was, with his loan spell at Westerlo, I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest, which was a bit of a disappointment. But look, for a kid of his age, first year in professional, men's football, I guess you got to say he did well.
Yeah.
Do you think Donnelly could get a chance under Frank?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, Donnelly, because he's definitely a cut above the league he just played in by some way. I think. Is he too good for the Championship even, or do we just give him to Ryan Mason at West Brom? Someone that is definitely going to believe in his talent, or do we bring him in to the first team?
Well, Frank's known for developing a lot of younger players, so maybe, he could find a place for Donnelly. Maybe we don't need to buy another number 10.
I wouldn't mind. But is it the best course of action for his development? And will he play a lot? Will he play? How much will he actually play?
Or rotating with Maddison if Decky's out for a while.
Yeah, maybe you can keep him around till December and then loan him in December.
Well, you got to think. I don't think Donnelly, if he does stay, is going to be in the Champions League team, is he? That's way too much of a step up. I think he absolutely, once he got into that Leyton Orient team and settled, he was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And I think his goal against Manchester City obviously catapulted him. I think we got to be. There's players like him where we have to be very, very careful, and not just so right. You're banging the Premier League folds. I think again, alone for playing week in week out is going to do him better than sitting around. Although Frank will develop, I think he needs a loan. I do in the Championship, or maybe even low end Premier League. Who knows? Maybe we'll set something up that Brentford can have some of our loan players as part of this deal, that they can have first refusal on a few of our young products. You never know.
It's just the start of a special relationship, Brian.
Mate, a special relationship where we're the big boys. I don't know how we'd feel about that.
Brian, the latest rumours are. It seemed as though we were right. I was right yesterday, saying the latest rumours about Levy is that he ain't going anywhere this summer.
We've heard that there's. I think we've heard that there's going to be some kind of investment, and I've heard he's going to stay for a year and then he's going to piss off. I've heard there's so many things going about with this. I don't know, but all I will say is the most important thing about this is his protection. His bouncers, his security detail have gone. Cullen and Cullercott are huge misses to him. I think I used to say why I want small investment is he's got such a stranglehold on that club. Someone needs to come in and loosen that stranglehold and allow the person to breathe. Well, whoever comes in now, Vinay and whoever comes in potentially, I think his stranglehold is weakening. And you're again, we'll see. It's very hard to say what's going on with Levy and has he changed or Spurs changed direction until this window closes. If the window is exactly the same as always, you're like, oh, here we go. But I generally am optimistic that there is some absolute change coming at Tottenham. I really am.
Well, THFC Himothy on Twitter says that Levy ain't going anywhere this summer and Staveley has been in the background helping Levy and the hierarchy liaise with the Qataris.
Staveley's name is picking up again, isn't it?
Yeah, she's everywhere at the moment. She's bringing the Qataris in. She's bringing the Malaysians in.
She's on a tour. Basically, she's just going first class everywhere and just speaking to billionaires and bringing them to Spurs.
Yeah,
it's not a bad job, is it?
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Look, this is the thing. Like I said, and if Timothy's saying it as well, there's definitely something going on, isn't there? There is a sale of some form, or potentially going on. There really is. If someone said to me we have to do another year, but we got Vinay and whatever, and then he's gone, I'm taking it. I'm taking it. Start the clock. Start the countdown.
Mate, I just can't imagine a Levy-less Tottenham.
Oh, I can.
I just can't. I mean, I can imagine it, but I just can't believe the day like where Levy actually leaves this club. Like, it's like all we've ever known for such a long time, 24 years.
Yep.
I was 11 when Levy took over, when Enoch took over at Tottenham.
It's just bad, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I was 11, 12 years old. It's mental.
I have to say, because he said it in a few chats, you wanted to get a song for Thomas Frank? If you look at Mike's, Mike has got one. It's in the chat 11:25 your time.
11:20 here. Oh. Give me that Frank fever, Frank fever. We know how to show it.
There you go. See, this is the one. Here we go. There you go. They're all start coming out, but I saw Mike put that in our chat earlier. It's a start. It's a start.
I'm not sure you can get that guy in the crowd, but you can try.
Well, again, Agadoo we got going, Abba we got going. Let's go a bit of Bee Gees.
Yeah, but I can't. Maybe you can't. Maybe it will get going in the crowd if they start playing it on the speakers after wins, after games. Definitely, people will be booging into it.
It's catchy. It's got the tune. It fits.
100%. I can imagine. I can imagine it. Them playing that after the game.
Oh, you got a comment on your nice singing. There you go, mate. You got a second career.
That's the first.
Tim, you need to give a
Everyone always
rendition of
tells
it.
me how bad my singing is.
Yeah, I've gone really, like I said to you, I've gone for the old Ian Wright song. You got it's simple, but it's the next. Has anyone else ever had
Real
that?
crowd pleaser.
Has anyone else had that song? The Ian Wright. Has there been another player, not just Tottenham?
Frank. Oh,
But yeah, that's the one that I'm saying. But was that song only for Ian Wright, or has anyone else had that in the Premier League? Had that?
I'm sure someone else has had it.
Must have done, haven't they? Must have done.
Didn't we have it for someone? I can't, like, fairly recently.
You should know. You both should know if that's the case.
Can't remember off the top of my head. Would you lot take Garnacho at Spurs?
no.
No, you wouldn't.
I'm so split on this.
He's a dickhead.
He is, but you know what? He's that kind of guy. Like, I don't know if you guys thought it when you were there. You probably did. When he came, I was delighted that he didn't come on earlier, because he came on in the Europa League final and he really was going at us. And when he's in that kind of mood, then he can be a problem. But he's not that consistent with it, is he? No, don't get me wrong. There's loads better, but for
He's
a raw
young player.
yeah, that's the thing. For a raw talent, and on his day, he can be terrified.
Too much trouble than he's worth.
Yeah,
He's 20 years of age, though.
Mm.
He's really young. I think to show what he's showed at his age, would you not say, you know, there's big potential there?
Mm-hmm. I would.
he would be last on my list. He'd be last on my list.
He comes up with too much baggage. Him and his brother. No thanks.
Brother? What's his brother?
His brother's on social media constantly criticizing the club and everything and saying how Garnacho should have played this and that. And
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He would never to Frank.
There you go. Maybe Frank's one of the guys that could do it. But like I said, there's loads of others I'd take rather than him.
Yeah.
But he can be very, very dangerous on his day. He can be very, very dangerous on his day.
Yeah, he is a very frustrating player to watch, because like he can go like through on goal like 5 times a game and not score a goal. Like, but then again, in another day he'll score a hat trick or he'll score 2 goals. Like, very, very frustrating to watch sometimes.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Jacob Banner says Garnacho or Hojbjerg. I mean, from what I've seen, Garnacho is a much better player than Hojbjerg.
Yes. From the evidence. But Hojbjerg's been injured a lot. Garnacho's been playing with better players for a lot of his time. Hojbjerg's been at Burnley. But
like, apart from that Hojbjerg game against Alkmaar, he hasn't really impressed me that much.
It's been tough. He's had a big injury, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's true.
I do think he looked good against at the start when he played against Everton when he made his debut. He was, again, his end product wasn't all there, but he again was very direct. Got the ball, was got
He had a few moments, didn't he? But that's about it.
But then he got the injuries, yeah.
Just got to give him some time.
Yeah.
But again, if you get a Garnacho as well, the only other problem is, again, it's more players to push Mikey Moore down the pecking order, isn't it? And
what
that's
is the
something we don't.
Mikey Moore then next season?
Do you know, I think we're loaning about 20 players to West Brom. just West Brom is like Tottenham's B team.
What's the limit? How many are we allowed to?
I think you can loan out 8 players, can't you? But I don't know how many people you can have from the same team at the same club. Obviously, you can have 2.
You can loan out 8 players to foreign teams. I think domestically.
Okay.
I think you're okay, aren't you?
But then it's how many players can you loan to the same team?
EFL Championship clubs can have a maximum of 5 loan players registered in their matchday squad. However, they can sign up to 4 players on loan from another club during a season, with no more than 2 of those being the age over 23. So they're saying you can sign up to 4 players on loan from another club.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good to me.
So who are those 4 players you're loaning to West Brom?
Are we giving Lancashire back to them
Don't know.
under Mason?
It depends. It depends if we have other priorities that need to go to Mason.
Well, technically, you remember you've technically got 8 because if Chris Davis was 4 at Birmingham,
Give Lancashire to Birmingham.
We'll go. We'll give him Donnelly. We'll give him Abbott. We'll give him Phillips
Keeley.
and Keeley.
Sim, I'd rather send out Vuskovic than Phillips.
Phillips, you don't want to. You don't need Phillips going back to the Championship, surely.
Yeah, I'd rather keep Phillips than Vuskovic. But again, that's just because we've seen obviously what Phillips has done in the Championship. We haven't seen anything really of substance of Vuskovic apart from the Belgian league.
Dorrington, give him Dorrington.
Like Phillips, like how many years is he going to spend in the Championship? He's done the last 3 years in the Championship.
Yeah.
That's so many minutes there.
He's still
Surely.
young, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's like been performing unbelievably well there for, Can he not be part of our matchday squad, our squad next season?
I'd have Phillips.
Maybe.
I would keep Phillips about as the young defender that stays around the first team.
Would you rather keep him than Vuskovic?
Yep.
Vuskovic to West Brom?
West Brom or Birmingham.
I mean, Vuskovic in the Championship would be a joy to behold, man. He would cook there.
It'd be good. It would. I mean, you've done well. You've done well in Belgium, and he did exceptionally well at Belgium. Obviously, getting amongst the goals a lot. If he goes to the Championship and has a very good season, then you know you've got a player. Then you know you've got a damn good player on your side. And I just think Phillips, like I said, he's proved himself at Championship level.
Go on.
No, I really think Phillips is going to be a top draw defender for us. I really do. I'll stick my neck out. I really, really do.
You know who I think Frank would have loved?
Who?
Hojbjerg.
I knew you were going to say that.
Why?
I just had a feeling. I just saw Hojbjerg in my head when you said that.
You said you should have guessed it then.
Yeah, I should have.
I reckon he would have loved Hojbjerg in this team.
100%. He would have. He would have been that player that we're looking for.
Hmm.
Well, he's Marseille's now, isn't he? Has the obligation gone through, or is it 1st of July or whatever it may be?
Gone through. I think it's pretty much gone through. He would be the Norgard role, 100%.
Yeah. Someone who's just a jack of all trades, very good at everything. You loved it.
Master of none.
I loved that first couple of seasons of Hojbjerg. God, I loved him. Loved him.
Yeah. Did you see his goal when you were at the Spurs Stadium?
No, I decided I had to go to the toilet. I had to go.
That whole trip, you're like, I just want to see a Hojbjerg goal.
I want to see a Spurs goal. I was like, I had to go to the toilet. And as I got towards the toilet, I just heard a roar. And I was like, yes, we've scored a goal. I didn't see it. Bloody Pierre Hojbjerg. I was gutted. Gutted. But then Lucas Moura scored the winner, didn't he? So I did get to see a Spurs goal.
Surely this is the year we beat Arsenal. Frank's going to deliver that for us.
Right, if he delivers that. A nice early North London derby.
Yeah, fixtures out next week.
Yep.
What day?
Wednesday. I think about 9 in the morning. Classic Emirates in the September. White Hart Lane probably around February, March time.
That will come if he can get a North London derby win.
Yeah.
That immediately sways over a load of them.
If he goes to the Emirates and wins in September.
Could you imagine?
And we know we're onto a good thing, man. Straight off the bat, North London derby win, bang. We'll go there parading with our Europa League trophy and our Super Cup trophy.
Has any manager ever won their first North London derby?
That's a good question.
Conte, maybe.
Conte, yes.
Yeah, Conte. That 3-0 game was his first North London derby, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the last time we've beaten them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, things are about to change.
It's an absolute disgrace, man. Our record against Arsenal. It's like the worst in our history, this record we're on. Just mental.
It has to end. It has to end. Do you imagine we beat Arsenal and Chelsea?
Man? How have we let this happen?
War a trophy.
Oh mate, I don't. The Arsenal one is really. It's just. What is it now? It's 4 years now, isn't it? Or four back to back.
2022.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Since 2022, we've pretty much lost all of them apart from that one at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Absolute disgrace, man. Absolute disgrace. How can we let that happen? I just don't get it. Like, even in our worst period in the 90s and stuff, we used to they never used to beat us this much. And they were like in their best moment in their history.
It's awful. It's awful. When you look at it, they've won more time at the new stadium than we've won at the Emirates. And they've been at the Emirates for 20 years.
They've beaten us more in our new ground than we've beaten them in our new ground.
That's what I'm saying. And not just that, we've won twice at the Emirates. The 3-2 and the 2-1 in the with the Dele Alli goal. That's it. They've been in the stadium 20 years. That's how bad Arsenal is for us going to the Emirates. But at home, we always used to be able to get at least a draw against them.
You know what I mean? Neil Sullivan pulling out worldies.
Oh, mate. Mate, he turned into like the prime best goalkeeper in the world in that game. Every year, draw 1-1, and he made about 20 odd. He was incredible.
Who scored the last minute equaliser that game? Was it them or us?
Us, Gus Poyet.
Gus Poyet, yeah, that was it.
That was Campbell's first return.
Yeah.
Oh, that wouldn't have been. I don't know if that would have been Sullivan then. Robert Perez scored a last-minute equaliser against us with Sullivan.
Which is the game we're thinking of when Sullivan just had an absolute worldie?
Yeah, mate, against the Filth, he had a few. He really, really did.
Just trying to think. I can't think. I can't even remember the scores like from 4 or 5 years ago. Never mind from 20 years ago.
Oh, you need this where Simeon shines.
Exactly.
Pretty sure it was 1-1.
Yeah, it was definitely 1-1. But who scored?
We had a few 1-1s back then. Depends what one you're talking about.
Well, I think it was one with Christian Ziege, where Christian Ziege scored that incredible free kick.
Nah, that wasn't that game. Wasn't Casey Keller a goal that game?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Gave away a penalty.
Yeah. He gave away a penalty just before half time, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah. We were actually playing really well.
That free kick was just insane.
The best free kick
I've ever seen, yeah.
The
Better
best
than Gazza's? Better than Gazza's.
Well, I didn't see that
live.
live.
It is better than Gazza's, quality-wise.
No. No.
Look, if you take emotion out of it, Brian, take emotion out of it, like I've been told to the last few days. Take emotion out of it. Let's just look at the quality of the free kick. Purely just the free kick. I think the league is better.
I think you've got the way you got to look at it with Gazza from that back in those days. No one would even dare take a free kick from that range. It weren't even. It was like, what the hell? I wasn't
alive, so I can't really attest to that.
So that free kick, and then you got to remember you had prime David Seaman in that goal.
He should have saved it. He got a good hand to it.
He got a good hand to it, but as the commentator, Simon got a hand, couldn't reach. It was that free kick, that moment. Also, he was injured playing in that game. But see,
free kick, Ryan.
I have arguments. Right, little bro Ryan Isaacs tries to always wind me up and says the Christian Eriksen free kick against Sheffield United, that reverse one was better than Gazza's. And I'm like, no, it won't. No, it won't. I won't. The Ziga one was sensational. Like I said, the best free kick I've ever seen live and in the flesh, by far. And I don't think anything.
That Christian Eriksen free kick was absolute madness.
It was.
Scenes when he went in with that. We were in the away end that day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my days! Oh my days! I just couldn't believe that went in.
We nearly bottled it that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eriksen scored the equaliser as well, didn't he? Right at the death.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony's right. No way. Gazza's God. There you go.
He's God, but he didn't score the best free kick.
Oh, who was in goal for the Ziga free kick?
Seaman.
Oh, it was Seaman.
Old Seaman.
Yeah, ponytail one.
Yeah. Yeah. When we had prime time Seaman. I don't know. This sounds very good. Sounds like a completely different show. I just realised sitting laughing.
Pause there, Brian.
The Arsenal number one. The Arsenal number one. It was primetime number one.
It was Brian Seaman, was it?
Jesus Christ.
wasn't old Seaman.
I've gone from naked pictures of Frank from you yesterday, Simeon. We've entered the comedy era. Yes, David Seaman in goal.
David Seaman, okay.
David Seaman in goal.
Brian, what's the best goal you've ever seen live?
Oh my good God. Wow, that is a question. That is a question and a half. I think that should go to everyone, even the people in the chat. Live.
The best goal you've all seen live.
I think quality of the goal.
Yeah.
That is an unbelievable.
Wait, Liverpool, that's up there.
Wanyama, Liverpool. Kane Arsenal from the corner's got to be up there.
Kane Arsenal. I don't think I was there that day.
Of course you were there. Were you not there?
Do you know a goal I did see? And obviously the player's been... I was at the game, if people remember, Gylfi Sigurdsson against Hull in the Carabao Cup, or whatever the game was called then. My God, I was right behind that in the old Paxton when he showed that was a bullet. I'll tell you one of the best goals, unfortunately it's against us. One of the best goals I saw live was Matic's at Wembley in the 4-2 Chelsea.
I was there, yeah, I was there for that one.
I mean, as soon as that ball left his foot, that was a goddamn arrow. But Spurs, Jesus, that is a real tough
versus West Ham, that long ranger when he shushed the crowd. I was there for that. Yeah, that's a great goal.
Yeah, I was there.
That's on when he ran half the pitch against Chelsea. Remember that?
Yeah, I don't think I was there for that one. Was I there?
At Wembley, I think you were.
Maybe.
That's such a great question. I mean, I saw who did I just.
Ronnie, one of my favourite ones was when Robbie Keane flicked over two players against Blackburn.
Yeah,
that was one of my favourite goals.
Ronnie's just mentioned Klinsmann's bicycle kick against Everton, but I actually preferred his volley against Sheffield Wednesday. That was a goal and a half. Klinsmann. People that miss seeing Jurgen Klinsmann, what a player.
You were at that game, weren't you? The debut 4-3.
Yep. With his header at Sheffield Wednesday. My first season ticket was the season after Jurgen Klinsmann. But the first time I started going away a lot, and to most of the home games as a member, was the Jurgen Klinsmann season. And Jurgen Klinsmann was an absolute joy to behold.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. Oh, he scored a wicked free kick against Palace. I was there for that. Away at Palace. That's another free kick. Were you guys, where Cantab just said, surprised you, were you there for, you weren't there for Dennis Crystal Palace?
Nah, I wasn't there for some reason. I can't remember why.
You know what happened with, I remember watching that game live. We were at a friend's house, one of Ben's friends, and we were streaming the game. and the cross comes in from Ericsson. Who's it? Kane heads it onto Delhi.
Yep.
And so Delhi flicks it up. The stream freezes. And all we hear was the commentator go, "Oh my god, that's the best goal I've ever seen!" We're like, "Oh, what just happened?" Like, we had no idea what the hell just happened.
I don't remember that. Where were we?
We had to wait for the bloody replay to see what the hell just happened.
I don't remember that at all.
I remember it.
I thought, mate, someone just put as well. Where was it? Where was it? I just saw one. Danny Rose against Arsenal. If you were there,
I was right behind that goal.
I don't think you're going to be that. That's
up there. That was one of my favorite games to be actually.
That would have been. So I was watching that at home with my dad. There have been some stunning goals.
You can't beat a North London derby at the old stadium, can you?
No,
just doesn't have the same vibe to it anymore.
No,
those days and nights, whenever we played Arsenal at the old stadium, where the streets were lined, waiting for the Arsenal coach to come in and give them abuse. I mean, the whole thing had a proper edge to it.
Yeah,
doesn't have that edge to it anymore.
Hopefully, it'll come back now. I mean, you look.
I think it's just moved on from that era.
I don't. Well, you look at it. Look how it was for obviously the Arsenal 3-0 with Conte, and then you look at how that stadium was for the Europa League final, and there wasn't even a game being played there. That's what it needs to get back to. That's what outside that stadium needs to get back to, and hopefully will at some point. Because that was, from watching it from people that were there and seeing it, the high road was bouncing.
Yeah. And I guess we had it for the 3-0.
That was a good day.
Yeah.
Would you say that's the best day we've had at the stadium, or was it the
Bodo game?
The Bodo game.
I would say I think the Bodo was probably better atmosphere. But in terms of like feeling during the game, I think that North London derby probably tops it.
Which is mad because one is a semi-final, European semi-final. The other one, I guess, was a Champions League playoff essentially, but and it was against Arsenal. Because it just felt like that game. That Arsenal game, you just felt like it was something so special. Not because it's a top 4 playoff, but because of what that game actually meant in terms of you thought Spurs were going to skyrocket from there, and you thought Arsenal were just going to be, just classic Arsenal, what it was at that point, and just flop. And it just went to be the opposite.
That's normal.
It wasn't normal at that point, though. Like we were better.
That's true. That's true. That's when we're still finishing above them every year, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like us beating them that day was just like, all right, fine. Normal service is just resuming here. And we haven't finished above them or beaten them since.
There's a great goal that's come. I was there for that one as well. Poyet's chip against Derby.
Oh, mate, that went so high, that chip.
Yeah,
that was high that went.
I was there for that, and that was a goal and a half. I loved Gus Poyet. I loved that man. I thought he was brilliant at Chubby. We had to dislike him. What a player he was.
He was an incredible player. Do you remember that low down header he did? Who was that against? No, I'm not thinking of Poyet. I'm thinking of Modric, aren't I, against Chelsea?
I think you might be. But Poyet, honestly, top player.
I love those goals. Anderton and Ginola against Leeds in the FA Cup.
I don't think you've seen 2 better goals in a game at Spurs, have you? I think that was 2 goals of the absolute highest quality.
Yeah.
And that was with Ginola's run around the whole team and hit the post and Graham celebrating.
Yeah. That was the year he got the Barnsley goal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's the year he won Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Sonny's goal to steal the Golden Boot, that was pretty good. Anyway, Norwich.
Right. That game was a whole pantomime just to get Sonny the Golden Boot. Everyone just passing it to Sonny, passing it. It was literally that goal that game was literally like a school team game or something. Like it was just like everyone just passed to Sonny, just passed to Sonny.
It's one of my favourite match day vlogs that you've done.
What, the Norwich one? Yeah, it was on Sim's birthday as well.
Sim, your birthday.
Yeah,
mate. Sim, we need more games on your birthday.
100%. Lucky charm.
Damn right. Damn right.
Some Bale goals. I mean, that I was at the game when he scored that goal against Southampton. Was that his last goal for us?
So, no, that was Sunderland.
Sunderland, yeah.
Sunderland, where he bent it into the top corner. Southampton, he did it on the bottom corner, didn't he?
Mate,
Bale's got loads.
That season, Bale's goals catalogue. I don't think we'll see anything like it.
It was like a Matt Letizia rendition, wasn't it? Every month.
Every game, he was just scoring bangers and winners towards, like, to win us games. It was just mad.
It is my biggest heartache in the world. My biggest Tottenham regret is I never ever saw Gareth Bale live.
Really?
Ever. Not once. Not once. Nope. I was too busy spending all my money on things I shouldn't be at that time and going to Tottenham. I wouldn't have even been able to stand up. But that's my biggest Tottenham disappointment. Like the thing that I've never seen him live and in the flesh.
He was a sight to behold.
Yeah.
Mate, Gareth Bale. I just can't believe we've witnessed something like that as Spurs fans.
You two, with Bale, which game, and this always gets asked a lot of time, I don't think I've ever asked you guys, do you think his performance in the San Siro was better than the White Hart Lane one or the other way around? Because for me, I think White Hart Lane, even on another level to Inter Milan.
White Hart Lane was a better one.
Yeah.
Because the one in the San Siro was just like, what was it? He performed well for like 20 minutes, half an hour. But the one at the Lane, whole 90 minutes, boom, down that left-hand side. He was terrible.
You know, SofaScore recently, or in the last few months, they released like old statistics for all the old Champions League games. So I went back to that game, Bale against Inter, and he completed something stupid like 15 dribbles, like something ridiculous. I was looking back, I was like, was it really that special? Like even like when you look at the numbers, it was like ridiculous performance. 100%. That game, he was mental. He was absolutely mad. That game,
it was unbelievable.
Gareth Bale with the 3 on his back, man. If only we can relive those performances. Seriously. Robert Ferguson saying Gazza goal against Oxford when he lost the boot. That's where he was at.
Gazza lost his boot against Arsenal.
Was it not Oxford?
No, he lost it. He lost it. Leslie lost it twice. It was a season we were meant to play. I think it was Coventry at home the first game of the season, but the West Ham wasn't ready. So we then played Newcastle away, ironically, for Gazza's first game. And then his first home game in a Spurs shirt was the North London derby 3-2 defeat. And Gazza lost his boot scoring his first goal. So he may have lost his boot. I can't remember losing his boot at another game. But Gazza definitely lost his boot at Arsenal, or at home to Arsenal.
Also, like Dimitar Berbatov when he was at Spurs. What a catalogue of goals he's got.
Mate, that honestly, that man was special.
What was Berbatov's best goal in the Spurs shirt? I always loved his goal against Charlton. I was there that day.
That was a great goal. My favorite. I love that goal he got away at Borough. That like bicycle kick outside the box, ridiculous goal.
Yeah,
I love his goal against Wigan, where he nutmegs the guy. Literally, he just seems so quiet. Nutmegs the guy. He just was unbelievable. He honestly one of the most exciting players I've seen live. From what he's his first, just what a silky player.
Just such a classy player, wasn't he, Berbatov? Yeah. So classy. I was absolutely distraught when he left.
Yeah. Oh, wait. He's just said Oxford FA Cup fourth round goal. That's a great Gazza goal. That's a great Gazza goal, that one.
Didn't he score a Rabona penalty?
Yes, he did against Hartlepool. He scored 4
How
goals.
mad is that? He literally took a penalty.
I think it was Hartlepool, but yeah, he did. He showed Aaron Lamella how to do it.
Someone else wants to come on.
Who does that? Who does that?
Paul Gascoigne, mate.
Which goal?
Gazza scored a Rabona penalty.
He did, and he did it. It's just like the things that he thinks they'll do it. You guys obviously didn't get to see him live in a Spurs shirt. My God.
Mr. Box Office, get me on. If I send you the link, Alex, you'll just say, "Oh, I'm working." And then Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe, these guys had so many top goals for us. Do you remember Jermaine Defoe's goal against Middlesbrough? Like first game of the season or second game of the season or something. What a goal that was.
One of Defoe's best ever goals was when we lost 5-4 to Arsenal, I think.
Oh, 100%. I love that goal. I love that goal.
Shame.
By the way,
that was an incredible goal.
I've just received a message, someone asking to come on. I'm going to put it in the private chat because I think you might have sent it to him already. Let me know. I've just put it in the private chat. If it's
he messaged me. I sent it to him.
Okay. It was. I've just checked as well. I don't know why I thought it was in a league game, but it was. I'm just about to send it to you guys. Gazza did that penalty in a Danny Blanchflower testimonial.
Okay.
Phil P says Keane's goal against Leeds. That was a top goal, man.
Oh,
outside of the boot.
Yeah. Bang.
That's one of my favourite goals.
100%.
That was a stunning goal.
What have you just sent me?
I've just sent you both the Rabona penalty.
Oh.
So you can have a look at it later.
Why don't we all have a look at it now?
Okay, you can put it. I didn't know if you get a copyright strike for it or anything.
Yeah, for a Danny Blanchard testimonial. I highly doubt it.
Let's have a look.
Oh.
That man. Honestly, that man, you'd never seen anything like it with him. Ever.
1.2 million views. Wow. People really like that.
He was... I mean, were you two guys there at the stadium?
In where?
You know when we opened the stadium and we had the All-Stars night?
Yeah, we were there.
So you would have seen, you would have heard it when he was warming up and then coming on, the roar in that place.
100%.
He honestly, I still say to the day I die, there will never be a better player in my eyes than Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah.
What about Luka Modric?
No. Honestly, I'm very, very, very biased when it comes to Gazza. Gazza
never won the Ballon d'Or, mate.
Well, what can I say? There's no. I could just tell you from the kind of club we were then. You literally, people will know, and there's people in the chat that obviously were there at the time. You always hear people say that he was worth the entry fee alone. That was Gazza. You just, with him, whenever he got the ball, the anticipation in the crowd, and just the roar and the general thing, like something. That FA Cup run. Keith was mentioned about the Oxford, that FA Cup run with him. It was I'd never seen anything like it.
Are you telling me that Gazza, and I'm not taking away anything from Gazza because I know Gazza's an absolute genius.
Yep.
But you telling me that Gareth Bale and Luka Modric, Gazza's better than both of them?
In my eyes, and it's very, very tunnel vision. And Sim will know with this one, this is Brian the heart, not Brian the head. Paul Gascoigne, that's when I started going to Spurs.
Take emotion out of it.
No, I should get my own T-shirt. You should get a We Are Tottenham TV. Brian, take the emotion out. I just want Gazza watching football growing up as a kid. What Gazza when he got the ball and what he did and what he could do. I mean, Hoddle bootleg is saying he saw on both, and it's Hoddle. I call the very, very. I think Hoddle. I saw about 3 games of Hoddle right at the end, right, and being one of them being the '87 Cup final. I didn't see enough of him. I'm sure if I'd seen more of Hoddle, I would have been maybe like. I just can't. Paul Gascoigne, what he did, Italia '90, everything. I just can't go above Gazza. That's my
Gazza or Hoddle.
For me, I did, like I said, I only saw Hoddle 3 times. And that was what you got to remember. When I was in the 1987 FA Cup final, I was 8 years old. So I can't really go back to like younger time and say, oh yeah, I can remember all that. But I remember of everything of Gazza, everything of Gazza. And I just can't put anyone above him. I just can't. In a Spurs shirt.
How many years did he play at Spurs for?
Well, he left in the 92-93 season because obviously he got injured. Because of the injury. He had 2 full seasons. 88, 89, 90. It's 3 full seasons. And then the 4th one, he was out all season. Then he went to Lazio. But those 3 seasons, he was unplayable. Absolutely unplayable.
Who's the best goalkeeper you've seen at Spurs, do you reckon?
I have my favourite. My favourite is Paul Robinson by a country mile. I love Robbo. No, I think the best. I call the end up. For me, if I had to say the best, it's between Eric Torsfet and Hugo Lloris for obvious reasons. And I think for longevity, it would have to be Hugo. But then it would be Eric Torsfet.
Do you think the best season from a goalkeeper we've seen is that Gomez season?
I think one of the best performances in a North London derby is definitely Gomez.
He was amazing.
Look what the cat drag did.
Oh, look who it is.
Elias,
looky here.
Yes. Simios, the evil brother of Sim. How are you?
Yeah.
It's good to see you, Stel. Now, the question's on everyone's lips, Stel. It's been a couple of days. Have you warmed to Thomas Frank yet?
No, I haven't.
Come on, join the party, Stel.
Still, we're doing so well. We're motoring along this highway together. You need to spend some more time with me, mate. I'll turn you. I'm turning people Frankish. It's my new religion.
Frankish. Look, first of all, hello everyone. How you doing? Hope you're good. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves on this. What is it? Is it still Monday or is it Tuesday now?
Tuesday
morning.
We're having a good reminiscing session still.
Yeah, man. You've got to love these.
I'm not against Frank, but I'm not for him. I think it's come too soon after such an unbelievable moment. Bilbao, the parade, just everything. The whole thing was just 10 out of 10. It was just great. For that to just gone right now, it's just, whoa, man. Like, we weren't even allowed to enjoy it properly. It's just been taken away. And so already it's, okay, well, Angie's gone. So there's that. That's abandoned.
What if Frank wins the Super Cup?
Yeah, look, I don't know what Frank's going to do, right? I'm not going to sit here saying, yeah, Frank's going to do this, Frank's going to do that. And because I've got it wrong last year with Ange, so I'm not going to do that again. But it just feels like when Daniel Levy put out that statement after the parade saying we've had a taste for success now, and now's the time, we've got to build on it. And in my head, I pictured a really impressive transfer window with some names that we know, some really good players, and a manager that could really excite us and say, blimey, he's coming to Spurs. And Thomas Frank is just okay. He's not bad. He's not a wow manager, but he's not a bad manager. And then the news that Ben Davies is staying, it's just, oh God, it just feels like the beginning of another one of these projects where we're going to be sold this dream and we're going to be pitched this wonderful change of direction. And the early signs are, okay, not
apparently he wants to bring Nathan Collins with him.
Yeah, look, it's difficult. It's difficult to judge any player that he's
trying to rile him up.
Simeon wants to keep Stell on his side for as long as possible.
That's trying to get some juices flowing here.
You heard though, he's bringing Vitaly Janat with him as well.
Listen, why did I come on? Look, he needs to come in. He needs to be given some games so we can see how we're set up. We need to see what... Look, guys, I'll be honest with you. Regardless if Ange stayed, regardless if Thomas Frank is 100% the next manager or another guy, whatever, for me, the next manager is nowhere near as important as the summer transfer window. If we have a good window, I would say Frank's got a chance. If we don't, I'm just going to brace for impact and he'll be out within 6 months to 24 months. The summer window is more important than any manager that comes into this club, because if we do not get this right for once, I don't see how we can go forward. There's only so much juice you can squeeze out this current squad. Yeah, some tactical changes, some formation adaptation during the game. For sure, that can all be improved by a manager. But this squad is limited. It's very limited to juggling Europe, juggling domestic cups, juggling the league. We've seen it. Injuries, international duty, some suspension can have real negative ramifications on the end results. And then every manager, we've seen it in the past, is then forced to either forget the domestic cups and focus on the league, or in this case, do you know what, forget the league, let's focus on the cup. Or it's very difficult to juggle on all fronts unless you've got the squad. So for me, guys, whoever the manager is, the transfer window will be the most important indicator of what I think will happen next season.
I agree with you. I do agree with you to a certain extent about the transfer window, but, you know, take your mind back to pretty much all season. You were saying, you know, we need a manager that can be adaptable. We need a manager that improves players and coaches players. Isn't that what Frank is?
In his comfort zone of not being at a club under pressure, and in the situation of not having to juggle Europe and Premier League, he's proven yes. He's now coming to the unknown. This club is unforgiving. Our fans can go from 0 to 100 in one game, right?
As we all know.
Get battered in a North London derby, fans are going to want you out the next day, right? And there's pressure at this club. There's no doubt. This club comes with pressure, and that comes from the board down and the fans. So the answer to your question is yes, Ben, you're right. But at this level, he's not proven yet. And I think that's the big risk, isn't it? Whereas if we've got Glasner, you could say, mate, he did it in Germany, done it in the Premier League. He's won trophies as well. There's pedigree there. There's something that you can say, hold on, he's got something in the locker. Whereas this guy, he hasn't. He's not proven anything. But what he has shown is, on a very tight budget, without big spending, he does a good job. He does a good job with the team he's given. So I'm somewhere in the middle, Ben. I'm somewhere in between.
You watch. I'm going to speak to Stell on WhatsApp tomorrow, and then you'll get him on the next day, and he'll be fully Frankish. He'll be fully Frankish. I'm going to convert Stell. He's going to come for the ride.
If he wins a trophy, I'm all in.
The Super Cup.
I'm all in. Anything. If he wins any trophy, I'm all in. 100%.
Is that your requirement for him next season?
That's what I want from any manager at Spurs. Just if they focus on trophies and they can win a trophy, I'm all in, man. I think it's the hardest thing to do in football is to win a trophy. To get it over the line is the most underrated thing in football. And it's the hardest thing. That's why we always remember the winners of trophies and nobody else, really. So I don't expect that first season, though, Sim, to answer your question. I think it's a hard thing to do, but let's see what plays he's given. If we sign 4 really, really good players, then my expectations go up. If we have a bad window, then I don't expect trophies. No, I don't think this squad's capable again without some improvement, because our rivals are improving. So I think, although I've heard Zubimendi's not going to Arsenal, which is great news if that's true. Fantastic news.
Yeah. Leaves the door open for us to get Angelo Stiller, mate. Get him in as the 6th.
Arsenal, can you imagine their fans? I mean, is this not going to be the greatest summer for Spurs fans? They'll be one of the only people that lose a player from a here we go. They'll have to deal with us fans winning trophies. Robbie Williams taking the piss out of them. This is the summer of. It's a joyous summer coming. A joyous summer ahead.
Yeah, Brian, you got it all coming to you this summer. Frank's in finally for you after a few years of coming.
Mate,
we got a trophy. Arsenal are in the mud.
Levy could be leaving. I mean, what the hell has happened? It's like literally all my summers have come at once.
We were talking before, Stel. Go on, you're about to say something. Go on.
No.
No, I just wanted to ask you about the best goal you've ever seen live.
Oh, Gazza's free kick against Arsenal in '91 at Wembley. All day long.
Is Gazza's free kick at Wembley better than Christian Ziga's free kick?
Mate, Arsenal were league champions that year. David Seaman was the best goalie in town. Gazza's goal was against the Gooners. It's just, yeah.
What year was Ziga's free kick? 2002, was it? 2002?
Yeah, they came second that year.
I literally thought you were about to say Simeon said Ziga's. I was about to say you really have gone full Simios now.
No. I'm semi-Simios.
About champions this championship, like in terms of quality of actual free kick, never mind any of the context about who we were playing.
Yeah, but see, when you measure quality, you've got to consider the moment, the pressure, the magnification of the moment, right?
Yeah.
Gazza did it at Wembley against Arsenal. I mean, that was freaking hell, man.
Seaman should have saved it. He got a big hand to it.
It's the power
Are you a gooner in disguise?
I'm just saying Ziga's was a better free kick. It was a better free kick.
I'll tell you what, the best free kick I've seen live is there was a game where Gazza scored a hat-trick. We're going back, I don't know if you guys were even born.
Derby
County. Peter Shilton was arguably the world's number 1. He scored a free kick against Derby. 2 were free kicks. One of those free kicks was just out of this world that Gazza hit. Honestly, it was different gravy. I think that's probably the best I've seen. But I was very young. I just about remember it. It was...
Still, do you remember the funny story about Peter Shilton and Gazza for that game?
No.
So they were away of England duty the week before. And they were sponsored, basically mobile phones were just coming out. And they'd all been given mobile phones by BT or Cell, whatever they were called back then. And then Gazza said to Peter Shilton, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll tell you what, Peter, put your phone in the goal. And every time I take a free kick, I'll give you a quick call and tell you where I'm going to put it to see if you can save it. Obviously, you couldn't do it. But every time he scored the free kick, you see Gazza running away and he's pissing himself. Because he had told Peter Shilton, I'm going to get a free kick and now I'm going to tell you where I'm going to put it. Though that second free kick is the one you're talking about. He scored the hat-trick that day. I've just been trying to explain how it... Still, watching Gazza live was like nothing else, wasn't it?
Paul Gascoigne is the best football player I've ever seen live, ever. Ever. I was too young to understand Hoddle. I remember Waddle and that lot, but Gazza was... I don't think England's ever developed a player like that again, of that level, that dribbling ability. And his goal scoring ability was insane. Headers, tap-ins, long range, curler, penalties. Mate, his boot fell off his foot and he went round a player and finished without a football boot on. Like, Gazza was incredible, amazing. Like, we're so lucky he was at Spurs.
Best player you've ever seen at Spurs, you think, Gazza? Better than Bale, Modric, Kane?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's mad. You even like that Bale season we were talking about, where just everything went in, you know, that last season. Like, that was probably the best individual season I've seen from anyone in a Spurs shirt.
Take Bale's left foot away, there's not much to him, right? His pace and his left foot. Gazza had it all. Gazza had the whole package. He was Modric, Dembele, prime Jack Grealish, all in one. The whole package. He was, and I'll tell you what. Do you know how you know Gazza was the real deal? Italia '90, the World Cup. He was hands down, not hands down, but for me, he was the best player in that tournament. And there were some quality players in that tournament. Quality players. Gazza was, I mean, he carried England almost. He was unreal for us.
Who's next? Who's the second best player you've seen?
Oh, Brennan Johnson. I mean, on his day. Class, absolutely.
Come on. Jesus. I have to say, you have got Boxy demanding to come on now.
Who?
Boxy.
Yeah, just to take the conversation in a different way, I was watching a clip of the old Spurs documentary, the All or Nothing. I was watching a clip of Levy explaining himself sacking Pochettino. And he says, the interview asks him, you know, do you think you made the right decision? And he says, look, I love Maurizio. He's given us some great times. But if you take away emotion out of the decision and you look at the results, they just haven't been good enough. And I feel like logically we have to make a change. So very similar to what he's saying right now. And
he also said, though, Sim, you're missing out a part, though. He also said in that documentary, only time will tell if I've made the right decision. And then he sacked him about 15 months later. So,
yeah.
Although I don't think he'll be like that again. Not because Frank's not a toxic manager. He's quite he plays the game. He plays the game. He doesn't blow it all up like Mourinho did.
Seems like the kind of guy who can get people on side very quickly, I think, Frank.
Sim, do you think sacking Angela is as big a mistake of sacking Poch?
Oh, what a question. What a question.
I think they had more cause to sack Ange and Poch. So I think based on the evidence, it's hard to say. But no, I wouldn't say it's bigger than Poch.
Poch never. He had 2 years of no investment. Like, he was squeezing blood out of a stone at one point, you know.
And he was still getting top four every year. Even top four in the season we got Champions League final. And
competing with the best teams in Europe. The best of the best, you know. Yeah. I think to answer your question, Ben, Moussa Dembele is probably the second best player I've ever seen at Spurs.
Oh, I forgot about that question.
Better than Bale.
Do you know different players? Dembele controlled a game of football. Gareth Bale won us games of football. Dembele controlled a game of football. Do you know in the academy, right? When they teach the kids skills, they give them names. So like the Cruyff turn, the Ronaldo chop, the Maradona. So they're all named after top players, the skills. Do you know the only player that's got a skill named after him in the last 10, 15 years is Dembele? There's actually a skill called the Dembele. And
what about the wings? What about the wings sideways pass?
The sat now.
That's the Vinny Samways. That's the Vinny Samways.
The Vinny sideways.
Or the Scott Parker pirouette.
Yeah, Scott Parker pirouette.
I think the second best player for me, I mean, Harry Kane has got to be right up there. He's got to be. Watching him, but I loved, again, it's old White Hart Lane. I loved watching David Ginola.
Yeah, mate. You're
I
singing,
love,
singing off my hymn sheet, mate.
yeah, when you're talking about going there and wanting those maverick and those exciting players, Ginola was outstanding. Mate, isn't it funny? The best two I've just mentioned are both ex-Newcastle.
Yeah. I'll never get away from the fact, though. I mean, the maddest stat in the world that Brennan Johnson has scored more goals this season than Ginola did over the course of his whole Spurs career. And he's won Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, that is ridiculous. Do you know, Ginola and Dembele didn't score nowhere near enough goals for the roles they played, you know?
Yeah.
They
Ginola.
I mean, the thing is, Ginola didn't score much, but when he scored, they were magic. Like magical goals.
Mate, Sammy in the studio was like, was Ginola even that good? And we sat him down and we found a video on YouTube, every Spurs goal Ginola scored for Spurs, and he was like, all right, fine, this guy was the real deal.
Do you know one of my favourite goals still is that Dele Alli goal against Crystal Palace?
Mate, class goal.
Yep.
I remember losing my absolute mind when that went in. I literally lost it. I couldn't believe he did that. If any elite player like a Ronaldo or a De Bruyne or someone like that did that, they wouldn't have stopped talking about it. And the thing is, he meant it. He meant to do all of that. I couldn't. What a goal, man! Flicking it over someone's head, then doing a 180 and then catching it on the volley and putting it in the bottom corner. I mean, that's just...
It was ridiculous.
Did you see Ryan Cherky's
goal?
goal?
You know that, Sim. Sim, you can't coach that. That's a gift. You can't coach stuff like that.
Yeah. Talent.
Yeah, player we haven't mentioned is Van der Vaart. That's totally right, Dave Thomas. What an impact he had.
Well, there's another one as well. Sonny's mentioned Teddy.
Teddy
in his first stint was unbelievable.
We're just sitting here naming good Tottenham players.
Mate, this is the thing. These late night streams. There are some great players. Honestly, we have quality players. Quality.
And not one mention of Sonny, man. The disrespect.
What a player, Sonny.
I'm so happy he won a trophy at Spurs, you know. That's probably one of the happiest things, just to see him win a trophy for Spurs.
It was the most heartwarming thing just seeing him lift that trophy. It really was.
Yeah. The amount of stick he got from quite a few fans at Spurs the last couple of years as well, that was needed.
But he's up there now in terms of legendary captains of this football club. He's proper up there.
He is.
I'm just happy that he can, you know, when he retires in life, he can look back and say, "I won a trophy with Spurs." Like he's got that in him now. He's a winner of the club. Because it does frustrate me a bit.
You think he might leave this summer? There's a lot of talk about it.
Look, if we're going to go to the next level, you've got to let him go. I think he's at that, you know, like Ange, leave on a high, man. Leave on an absolute high, and it's time for younger blood to come in and play on that left side, and a younger person to play as an inside forward. If we're going to develop the club now to the next level, we can't do it with the old school players. We've got enough experience in the team now. You've got your Romeros, you've got your Basumas, you know, all right, they might not be the best, but we've got experience. There's no need to keep Sonny just for experience sake. So I don't know what other reason.
You're probably leaving.
Would you be gutted if we lose Romero? Because I know he divides fans. For me, I'll be really gutted. I think he's a top player. I've never been one of these people that's kind of, you know, turned
Before you
on
get
Romero.
to that discussion, I'm going to have to drop off. I've just been called for dinner. So I'm going to go.
What's on the menu tonight, Brian?
Say again?
What's on the menu tonight?
Chicken wings. I don't know what glaze Ilana's doing on them. And we've still got some of the pineapple salsa, which we're going to smash. And then I think she's done something else as well. Ilana's cooking and culinary skills no end. So it's always you don't want to miss a dinner. So I'm going to go smash some chicken wings down.
You don't have to clock off. You can live stream your eating.
I don't want to make you guys jealous. And also, I don't want to piss my wife off. That's the main thing. But guys, have a very, very good evening. Once again, seeing people in the chat, and always love doing these late night chats on this channel. And they need to become a nightly thing. Like you don't go to the studio anymore. You just stream at night. That's where it is. But still, I'll speak to you later. Ben and Sim, have a wonderful evening. And everyone in the chat, have a wonderful evening, morning, whatever it may be. Speak to you later.
See you later.
Frank.
Yeah. What are you saying, Stel?
Yeah, Cuti Romero. Where you know?
Yeah, no. I think it'll be near impossible to get someone as good as him. But I also think with Frank coming in, it's maybe less important to have someone as good as him, if you know what I mean. I think the way Ange played, always keeping kind of 2 players back, sometimes 3, you needed special kind of defenders kind of in those one-on-one situations dominating. I think with Frank there, everything's going to be a bit more compact defensively. Everything's going to be a bit more organised. And I think it's maybe less necessary to have a player as good as Romero, as much as obviously it's a benefit. I don't think it's as important, but I also think, obviously, I want Romero to stay. And I think it'll be a massive loss if we lose him.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, we're going to replace him with Nathan Collins. And the Brentford fan we had on earlier said he can replace Cuti Romero, which I was like, what are you talking about? That's just a mad
What was the... I haven't seen the video. What's the thoughts of the Brentford fan then about Thomas Frank? And I'm guessing he was quite positive about it all.
He says he's elite. That's his opinion. He thinks he's one of the best managers in the league. And we're getting a guy who he has no doubt is ready for this step up. And every year, you know, people talk about him getting a job like this, and he thinks obviously now's the time he's got it, and he thinks he's amazing. He thinks he's like the better than sliced bread kind of thing.
So, right, you can take that one of 2 ways. You can either take it as he knows his stuff, and everything he says will come true, or you can take it as, do you remember all the Celtic fans telling us what an absolute gem we've got in Ange, and you know, be ready to be excited and whatnot, and how that kind of ended up
with a trophy, mate.
Exactly. Mate.
Yeah, listen, absolutely, but we sacked him ultimately, meaning that it wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So can we take what anyone ever says to us anymore at this club? This club's got a way of doing things to people that other clubs don't quite do. I don't know what it is with us. We just seem to bring out the best and the worst in managers.
That's the kind of annoying thing I have about the narrative. Like when I was having that conversation with Ben earlier, I was trying to think. I don't think I was getting my point across well, but if I'm trying to think about what I'm trying to say, is that I was basically asking Ben, how do we judge Frank next season? Because Tottenham, right, have brought him in saying we want to change of approach to show that's better to manage on multiple fronts. That's what their statement said, right? So I was saying, so does Frank have to show that he can battle on multiple fronts next season, or does he need time? And the argument, I guess, Ben was saying, no, he needs time. Obviously, you can't judge him on his first season in terms of him juggling multiple fronts, because he's going to need time. He's, his first time, I guess, he would have been playing in Europe and in the Premier League. And if he can't do it in his first season, then that's fair enough. But technically, it was also Ange's first season in Europe last season, and he actually ended up with a European trophy off the back of it. So
he's managed in Europe before, though.
Huh?
He's managed in Europe for Celtic before.
No, but he's managed in Europe for Celtic, but juggling Premier League and Europe is a different kettle of fish, probably, than juggling the Scottish League.
It's true, but
Europe.
He has never managed in Europe before. He's never had to contest with 2 games a week.
No. And obviously he did. I mean, I know in Celtic, obviously they didn't get anywhere in the Champions League, but not really expected to, and they obviously won the league. But like, if we're going to allow Frank this year, right, of learning, or basically we're not going to judge Frank, I guess, this year, essentially, because it's his first year. So there's a good chance we might even finish 8th and not win a trophy, and we drop out of Europe altogether. And then we're not going to sack him over that, right? I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying we're not going to sack him. So then we're dropping out of Europe completely. Then potentially we're going to have to go for another year of 1 game a week, and then we're going to have to see again in the 3rd year whether he can contend with Europe. And it's just frustrating that we'd rather do all that than just see if Ange could do it next year, if you know what I mean, and give him a chance to learn. If he give him a chance to learn from his experience managing in Europe, is kind of what I'm trying to say. Like, we're willing to allow Frank this season, which is fine. If you appoint him, it's the right thing to do. But why do that rather than try and build off the trophy that Ange won, given that he's already had a year in Europe, and maybe he can learn off that rather than have another manager who's going to have to learn off another season, if you know what I mean.
You know what? I'm with you on that, because it's frustrated the heck out of me that if you were to say to fans 2 years ago, in the next 2 years, you're going to get qualification for Europa by finishing 5th, and then you're going to win a European trophy the next year, and you're going to be back in the Champions League, would you take that? Not one fan saying no to that as the first 2 years of a project. No one's saying no to that. I don't know how you can.
Wait a sec, hang on a minute, because me and Sim both said at the start of this season we wouldn't take a Europa League win and finish 17th.
You would?
Wouldn't.
Well, I'm talking about the start of when Ange came. If you said in the first 2 years you're going to get Europa, you're going to win a European trophy, and you're going to get back in the Champions League in the first 2 years of a new project, would you take that? I think most fans would have said yes.
Yeah, but would they have still taken it if we would have said we would have finished 17th?
Well, half now, we know half would have said no and half would have said yes. So that's the league position is what splits fans, isn't it? That's what splits everyone. But I agree that. But where I agree with Sim is we've done that, and rather than saying, right, can you do better than that now? Because there is some progression there's definitely progression under Ange, just whether it's the kind of progression fans want to see. With Frank, it's a reset. We're hitting the reset button again, aren't we? It's here we go again. And because if you look at Thomas Frank, guys, if you look at his first 8 games when he managed Bromby and his first 8 games when he managed Brentford, he didn't win a single game.
Yeah.
Obviously, at Spurs, that could be different. You never know. But that says to me, this is a manager that needs a bit of time to just install a footprint and for it to be done his way. Are fans at this club tolerant enough for that? If that was to repeat itself, and after 8 games we've won no games, it's Nuno again, isn't it? We're back into Nuno territory. Will the board have the tolerance? I don't know. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully Frank picks up a couple of wins in the first 5-6 games, and we just say, okay, it's part of the process.
That's my point. My point is not necessarily that. I mean, I understand that as well. 100%. I think the fans are going to lose page. My point is, like, the board are saying we want a different approach, so we can, for a manager who can juggle, be competitive on on multiple fronts, right? But does Frank actually have to prove that next season to keep his job?
What do you call competing on all fronts?
What do you call competing on all fronts? Good question. You. What do the club consider that? I don't know.
What do you consider?
Being in the top 6 or 7 and having good cup runs.
Quarterfinals?
Probably next season would be Champions League. Champions League, like, at least, I guess, get out of the groups.
Yeah.
And I guess in one of the cups, probably a semi-final, probably, and at least one of them, or maybe a final.
Do you not think Frank can do that next season?
Well, and get top 6. I don't know. He might not. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying if he doesn't, he's not going to get sacked over it, is he?
No, but I think he's got more than enough quality as a manager to do that even next season. Top 7.
Okay, and that's great. If he does it, fantastic. I'm just saying he's not judged on whether he does.
When you say on all fronts, guys, do you mean both domestic cups, the Premier League and Champions League, like all 4?
Well, I guess so. Yeah.
No manager at Spurs in the history of ENIC and Levy has ever done that. And
correct, but that's what the board have said. That's why they've sacked Ange, right?
Well, they're either waffling or they haven't clearly explained what they mean, and they're just putting this broad brush on everything. Because the best Premier League teams I think we ever had were Redknapp's and Poch's, and they couldn't compete on all 4 fronts. You know, the best we've ever seen is Poch, who got top 4 and semi-finals and finals. That's the best we saw. But he completely dismissed domestic cups in order to do that. We
got top 4 and lost to Portsmouth in an FA Cup semi-final, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lost to Colchester in the cups. He lost, Genk.
I'm talking about when we lost to Redknapp, when we lost to Portsmouth.
All right, yeah, sorry. Really, look at Liverpool. They couldn't compete on all 4 fronts. They crashed out of Champions League, crashed out of to Plymouth. Was it the FA Cup?
Yeah.
Look at Arsenal. They battered 4-0 in the Carabao Cup semi-final, crashed out the FA Cup to 10-man Man United at home on Who has the squad really to compete on all 4 fronts? I think it's madness. The best we could hope for, not just with Frank, any manager, is either top 6 and a good cup run, or just top 4, or all out for a trophy, all your eggs in one basket. I don't think we can do better than that. And if Frank's going to be expected to do more, and that's what his job will depend on, then he'll be gone within 2 years, guys. If they stick to what they've said, unless we go and sign, 7 amazing footballers, like something we've never seen before. I don't know how any manager can do it. Forget Frank. I don't know how any manager can do it at Spurs. I'm
really worried actually about this transfer window, not because of the quality that's going to come into this football club, but how we're going to fit new signings in. I mean, we were talking about it last night on our stream. We've only got 1 club trained player at the team in the squad, which is down from last year. How do we fit new signings in?
Do you think the reason they've targeted Thomas Frank is because they think he can work with the current squad, and not really?
Personally,
they think he can develop Gray and Burkle and Adobe and Van der Ven a bit more and get a better tune out of Odeberts and Solankis. They think he can just do much, much better with the current lot.
I think he will do much better with the current lot, for sure.
In all competitions, Ben, or just in the league?
Well, we're not in the Europa League, so he can't do better. I mean, I think he can do better in the FA Cup than 4th round. That's why he went out this year. Carabao Cup, we got to the semi-final. So, I mean, who knows? You need a good... Look, the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, you're only as good as who you're drawn against, essentially. Because if we get drawn against a Man City, a Liverpool, or one of these top teams, we're probably going to go out. That's the reality, isn't it? So we need kind draws, don't we, to get really far into the cup. But I think he can do a lot better in the league. Top 6, top 7, for sure.
But do you not think Ange could have maybe done better in the league next season?
Ange definitely would. I mean, look, it's hard not to do better than 17th. Let's be real. But look, if it was up to me at the end of the season, at the end of winning that cup, I would have kept Ange. I said that many a time. But the club, many fans, and everyone within the club couldn't look past how dreadful the league form was, not just last season, but coming back from the season before as well. There are so many red flags in Ange's tenure here, so many, and the kind of cup that saved him.
No, it's true. I understand that. I'm just making the point. They're saying he's getting brought into being judged on challenging on multiple fronts, but is he actually going to be judged on that for the first season anyway?
No, he won't be. He won't be. He'll be judged. I think you can only really judge a new manager after a couple of years, really. I know that's not really the case at Tottenham over the history, but this guy's brought in for what you want to call a project. Conte, Mourinho weren't brought in for a project. They were brought in to win now. Frank has been brought in, because they see a long-term future with him.
Ben, we heard this about Ange. He's come in for a project, the youth, and all this. This is what I mean. They spin a story, they sell it to us fans, we buy into it, and then we start questioning it 9 to 15 months down the line. And by 18 to 24 months, everyone's right. Get this manager out. Enough's enough. What are we doing here? I just don't see how you can compete at this level, Premier League and Champions League, without signing quality. I don't know how you do it. I've never seen a team, even Poch, we had quality, man. Son, Kane, Dele Alli, what a front three. Eriksen, Dembele, Wanyama. I mean, freaking hell. Arguably the best partnership we've had at the back. Alderweireld and that starting 11 was dynamite. We were just very, very good at hiring players for that little period of time in our history. We were just very good at it, And obviously, Kane came through the ranks, so you could say a bit fortunate that one of our academy players turned out to be a global superstar. How often does that happen? I don't see how we now, in this modern day, compete with Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Newcastle, unless we sign quality. I don't know how we do it. I don't think Frank's going to turn all these players into top players. Yeah, he might develop Bergvall into a really good player. He might develop Udogie into a fantastic wing back, but no coach develops all 11 starting players into brilliant players. Nobody does that. You've got to buy it in. You need the talent to start with. So,
but we've got somewhat of talent. We've got a very good back line. Porro, Romero, Van de Ven, Udogie. Say they're all top players. Do you not think they're all top players?
Vertonghen, Romero, yes. Porro, as long as he's not having to defend too much. Udogie needs work. You can
see that, they've got the ability to be top players.
Yeah, the potential's there, 100%. Yeah, I don't knock that.
You've got the back line kind of sorted. Maybe a bit of work on the midfield in terms of the long term. The forward line is where Frank has earned his money at Brentford. He gets Mbeumo scoring 20 goals a season, Wissa scoring 20 goals a season, Sade, who's been absolutely nowhere over the past couple of years, scoring 11, 12 goals a season. He's coached these players into being the players they are. He tried to sign Brennan Johnson at Brentford. Who knows if he would have done that with Brennan Johnson at Brentford? Archie Gray as well.
Again, I'm not disagreeing. What you're saying is facts. But when you're playing one game a week, it's Ange got us 5th, one game a week. And had we not all have wanted Man City to beat us to stop Arsenal winning the league, we might have got 4th. You never know. So I think Ange proved he could probably get top 4 with this team, one game a week. Frank plays one game a week. So can he do it in multiple? Like this goes back to Sim's question. Multiple fronts. That's one hell of an ask of any manager at this club because as soon as you've got to rotate and on comes Reguilón or on comes Tell or on comes Pape Sarr, there is a bit of a drop off. It begins to dip from the starting 11. It's not quite the same,
I'm just saying that's what they said in their statement. You know what I mean? They said that's why they sacked Ange, isn't it? That's what they said. We need a different approach to battle on multiple fronts. And the funny thing is, there's a good chance if Which if Frank does need time, which I'm saying he probably does, because that's just how things go. He might need a bit of time. He might need a year. We might finish 8th next season, and that wouldn't be a sackable offence in my book. I'm just saying, if he finishes 8th, that means, and we're not going to sack him, and then the next season we're playing 1 game a week, which means it might take 3 years to know if we actually can battle on multiple fronts or not.
Yeah, that's very true.
Well, okay, so what would be the minimum criteria Thomas Frank would have to achieve in order to keep his job to see that 3rd season?
What if we?
So by the end of year 2, forget year 1, right? By the end of year 2, what must he have done for this board to say you deserve year 3?
I think
probably
in year 2, he needs to finish in the top 4, top 5 for sure.
So Champions League football, basically.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get Champions League football.
Yeah.
So if he got Europa, you'd think they'd sack him. If we came 6th, they'd say, "See you later. You don't
probably
get year
not.
3."
He probably gets another. Well, depending on how we do in the cups, I guess.
It also depends how maybe close we are to the top 4 and what the narrative of the season is. I mean, if we completely bottle it second half, let's say we're clear in the top 4 and then just completely have a mad bad run second half of the season, they'll probably sack him.
Isn't it great that we haven't got a clue what our board is going to do? You don't know. You never know what they're going to do. Do you think it changes if Levy leaves? Do you think the criteria changes if Daniel Levy's not chairman?
Depends how the board looks. Like, let's say Daniel Levy leaves, we've got this mad investment with the Qataris and stuff. We might go for best in class everywhere.
Yeah, then the expectation goes up, right? So
yeah, of course.
Do you remember when they took over Man City, how managers suddenly became under much higher demands, under higher pressure, and they were just managers were doing quite well, and they're like, no, we need better than that. See you later. Pellegrini would win a league title, out. Mancini wins a league title, out.
A freelance journalist has just broken a story saying that Ange Postecoglou is reportedly in advanced negotiations to become the next manager of Italy.
Italy? No way.
Postecoglou is said to believe he can deliver silverware on the international stage, with Italy eyeing a quick rebuild ahead of next tournament cycle. Any agreement would likely be a short-term deal, as Ange has no intention of stepping away from club football for long, despite what happened at Tottenham. One to watch.
You know what? Mate. I laugh so hard. Iggy can't get away from anything. Iggy, desperate to get Emerson out of the club, goes to Milan. He wanted Postecoglou out, goes to Italy. It's the funniest thing.
Could you imagine a country that prides itself on defending hires Ange with his high loan?
It's not true. It's not true. It's a parody account.
There's a funny story.
A funny story. Imagine that was true.
Oh, it'd win. I mean, what year is it now? 2020. Is there a World Cup this year?
World Cup is 26.
This season, isn't it?
Yeah, the end of this season. Yeah.
No, forget it. Hire him in 2 years' time, and then in the 2 years later, he'll win the World Cup. Every 2 years. Exactly. Now's not the time to hire him. Don't take Ange now.
Oh, man.
Are you guys really happy with Thomas Frank then? Is this for you the guy you would have wanted at Spurs? Is this what you would have hoped for? Or
I'm really happy with it. I think he's the best available on the market right now. And I think all the things, like I said to you before, Stel, all the things that we were criticizing Postecoglou with, I think he's going to bring. But there is the question mark, and you can't get away from it. But it's up to him to prove it now.
I think on paper, all the question marks. Yeah, go on.
2 games a week, Champions League, Premier League, making the step up from a Brentford to a Tottenham. They are those question marks. But I think when you're looking at him as a manager, it's what we want. Being adaptable, coaching players, making them better, getting the best out of your players.
On paper, it makes sense. on paper, in terms of the coach we should be looking for, and also in terms of the fit for our club specifically, I think he's perfect for that. If you know what I mean, working within a tight budget, working under constraints, getting the most out of the best situation. As you say, being a bit more adaptable. His record against the Big Six for Brentford is brilliant. So, on the face of it, it on paper it makes sense, but a lot of things on paper have made sense before and then they don't work out. So, and there are question marks, but I do think it's the right pick. I do think he's a really good manager, and he deserves this chance. I think his body of work at Brentford does deserve an opportunity like this. So I'm not going to begrudge him for it, and I am quite intrigued to see how he does. I'm not negative about him. I'm more negative about the club and being here again in the same situation again. Like we always seem to find ourselves yet again back here.
Yeah, you know, they always get away with it. Winning that Europa Cup, they got away with it because it gave fans, it bought them some more breathing space. It bought them some more time. That trophy win bought the club a bit more time to change it around.
Their last chance, they'll have nowhere to hide after this one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one. This is their last chance.
The last. What was it? Last chance, last spin of the wheel. Then it was the last throw of the dice. And that was
Question, how quickly do you think it could theoretically take for protests to start happening again?
What, changing manager?
No, protests are against the board.
Oh right. Well, if the transfer window is not good enough, I think you'll get protests on day one.
Yeah.
Really? What, for Frank's first game? You reckon there are protests?
Yeah, 100%. If we don't have a good transfer window, because every fan knows this.
We won't know that the window will still be open.
I guess the season starts middle of August. Okay. Well, I think every Spurs fan would want the team to have a pre-season together and to give our manager the best chance of getting off to a good start. I think, all fans. Yeah. Do you know what was telling? That last game of the season against Brighton, when the players were doing the parade and they were up on the TV screens, the camera was zooming in on them. As soon as the camera went to Levy, without hesitation, it was just boo.
Mm-hmm.
That shows there's a lot of resentment towards the chairman at the moment. So if we don't, have at least a good July transfer window, we can see the signs of a good transfer window in the making, and we go into game number one with just not much of a transfer window to inspire us. In fact, I know you'll get protests straight away because fans aren't going to accept it anymore. They're not going to tolerate it anymore. Fans have lost patience with this board. It's obvious. The fan base has lost patience with this board. So, yeah, I'd say first game, depending on the transfer window. But then the opposite applies as well. If we make 2 or 3 really good signings, I think the protests are dead. I struggle how these protests can gain any momentum because, me, who goes to the protests, I would say, but hold on a minute. We've given the manager some pretty good tools here. I'm now looking at the manager to get a tune out of this because I can't really say the squad's poor now. We've got a decent squad. So it's what I said.
I just think another bad run of form. I reckon there's a good chance protests will start coming in. You lose 3 games in a row, I think we'll start protesting again.
You reckon if he loses his first 3 games, the protest's going to start again?
I reckon there's a good chance if there's bad form going into the end of the window, and then we don't get a big signing or something at the end of the window, then the first game after that window closes, I reckon there's a good chance there'll be a protest.
Mr. Box Office is dying to come on.
Yeah, it's 5-1.
Do you know what? It's funny, right? I can see Alex in the chat saying, get me on, like for the last 20 minutes, get me on. And the first thing I do is I look at Sim and I think, has Sim got the energy for this?
I don't know. Alex, I love you.
I'm trying to get Sim.
We're just having a chilled stream. I love you, Alex, but we're not for shouting matches today.
Alex, you have to promise that if you come on, if the guys that you on, you can't be Professor of Truth Entertainment. You've just got to be laid back on holiday, Alex.
We want Alex, not mix the box office.
God, don't want another Lubo situation.
Do you know? That was genius. That was really,
That's one of the best things I've ever seen.
That's the highlight of the year for me on YouTube.
Oh God.
We were live earlier, and JP made a really good point. You know, like all season long, we've been saying how wide open we are and how difficult it is to watch Spurs at times, and we keep getting pumped at home. If Frank can sort that out, tighten it up, and just make us hard to beat, and then White Hart Lane becomes a bit of a fortress, I think a lot of fans will jump on board with that very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Like really. If we become hard to beat at home, I think, regardless of the style of play, but we know, do you know what? Good luck trying to break us down. I think that'll be a big plus.
I think Frank, as much as I've been, painting bad scenarios, if Frank does well, and gets off to a good start, I think everyone's going to be on board straight away. Frank is very much a character who will bring everyone together 100%. He's not a divisive character. He's a great speaker. When you hear him speak in press conferences and to the media and and in post-match interviews and whatever, he speaks extremely well. I guarantee you, he's going to get the fans on side very quickly. As soon as he gets appointed and you hear him speak, I think he's going to get the fans on side very quickly.
Super chat here from Malware says Frank is basically the footballing equivalent of a magician who pulls fully formed Premier League quality rabbits out of a hat. Come on, you Spurs.
Pretty much. That's what he's been doing at Brentford.
I want to see what he does at Spurs. This club's different. Tottenham's different. The pressure's different. The demands are different. The fan base is different. Let's see how he adapts. If Frank can adapt to this environment at Spurs and repeat Brentford's what he's done there, then amazing. Let's see. We don't know, right? Every manager we hire is a gamble. Everyone's always a gamble. So
yeah, but it's on us, the fan base, to come out and just fully back the man.
Is this the first time someone's first season is going to be a Champions League season? Must be.
Yeah. It's got to be.
Yeah, no one's ever come into.
No, well, Mourinho
came mid Champions League season. Yeah, and came in the middle. Okay.
Hi, Alex.
Is he there? Has he bottled it? No, Alex.
Thought you were going to bottle it, Alex.
I love that he had to smile just to make sure we all know he's happy, like he's okay, he's smiling.
The only reason why I'm keeping silent because I'm doing for Ben's sake at the end of the day, and you know why I'm being quiet for your sake, Ben. You know what I mean? Because I know you do. You do.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
You do. Yeah, you do, Ben.
You do. I'm not going to say it out because because I know you got a little one there, isn't it? You know what I mean? So I can't. Yeah. So that's the reason why. You know what I mean? So listen, guys. I don't want to go because I'll go mad on Mr. Box Office TV, but I don't know why people are getting really upset with Daniel Levy right now. To be honest with you, and I understand Steele's point because he's always been Levy out, but I've got to be honest. The guy's done the right thing. He's done the right thing, getting rid of. He's done what a businessman should be doing. Get rid of Ange. and I've got to be honest, it's a relief, to be honest with you. And because he regardless whether he won the cup or not, it was a terrible season, and now he's got a coaching. Now I'm not fully on Thomas Frank, but for what I've seen, he's a coach. He's a coach. This is exactly what we need. And I think people are really worried because he's going to be here 2 years. It's not. The concern is for me is the director of football. That should be the ultimate for Tottenham Hotspur at the moment. That should be the consistency at the moment. The director of football. If they're consistent, the coach is going doesn't really make a difference to me. That's where we're getting it wrong. The director of football, So, and if Thomas Frank doesn't work out, we should be looking at other coaches similar to Thomas Frank, similar to Pochettino. So I'm a little bit more optimistic, to be honest with you, with him. I can't really make out. Listen, I'm going to be the same attitude that I had with Pochettino. Like I said, I don't want to repeat myself. I do apologize to people who have heard me before. I do apologize because I hate repeating myself, but as a Tottenham fan, we seem to always be repeating ourselves. Even though we are champions, so that's not repeating myself. That's actually quite good, actually, to be fair. But I do, I just think that at the moment, I just think we just, I think there's so many coaches out there that we could get. You know what I mean? I don't think it's. I think that's where we're going wrong. I think we're so hung up on sticking with a manager for how many years, and I just think it just doesn't work like that for me. I think the director of football is really, really important. Yes, you should get players in, but we know what Daniel Levy's all about. That's why we've got the coaching, So yeah, that's
Alex,
just my thought.
You say it doesn't work, but you look at the top six. I think they've all been there over 2 years, haven't they? All their managers.
Yeah, I hear you, but I just think it's.
I can't think of anyone.
Except for Arnie Slot.
Yeah, Arnie
Slot. Okay, but again, he didn't take over a manager who was sacked. But anyway, yeah.
But Pep Guardiola is one of those coaches, isn't he? And then Mikel Arteta. I think Mikel Arteta has been quite lucky in a sense. You know what I mean? Chelsea, I don't know, to be honest with you, with their manager, because they do get itchy feet a lot of the time, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember the other one.
Can I tell you one problem we are going to have, and there's no way around it now, unless Thomas Frank changes his ways, and that is, so I was in the Spurs academy. When was it? Just after Ange got the job 2 years ago. And I chatted to the new academy director, Simon Davies, at the time, and he showed me the blueprint of how he's changed it. So traditionally, what the academy would do at Spurs was they'd focus on developing the player, not the team. And the thinking is, if you can develop lots and lots of superstars, naturally, when you put them together, you're going to be better regardless. It's a bit of the whole Galacticos thinking: just sign the best players. Put them together, you should end up having the best team. So Spurs focus a lot on developing individual players, not so much a team way of playing, which is why you saw the likes of Bale come through, you saw the likes of Kane come through. We actually have some really good players who are either signed in as youngsters or signed in at a very young age, and they were beginning to churn them out. But what Simon Davies did was Paratici scouted Simon Davies to come in because he was going to go and take the assistant manager's job with Vincent Kompany at Burnley, because they both worked at Man City together. Then they went to Belgium. Then they were going to go to Burnley together. But Paratici hijacked the deal. Kompany went to Burnley and he brought in Simon Davies. And Simon Davies basically ripped up the blueprint and said, we're going to replicate Man City's and we're going to develop the team way of playing. So we're still going to develop players who are technically good, who make good decisions. But rather than developing lots and lots of technically gifted players who can dribble and do this and do that and this skill and that skill, let's develop teams that can win games of football. And the philosophy was a very much play it out from the back, high press, basically Pep Guardiola football. Let's just call it that. So the under 8s, the under 10s, the under 12s, 14s, 16, 18s, 21s all play the same way. Obviously, the under 8s, it's not quite the same because they play 5-a-side, and then the 11s play 9-a-side, sorry, 7-a-side, then 9-a-side, and they don't play 11-a-side, I think, until 13, 14. So there'll be variations of it building up to 11-a-side. So the whole academy now has been doing that. And when I said to Simon Davies, this is great, this is brilliant, this is something I've been saying we should do more of for years. But surely the first team manager has got to replicate this. And he said to me, yeah, that's why we brought in Ange, because he plays out from the back and it is more possession-based football with a high press. I said, okay, but what happens if Ange leaves? He goes, right, if Ange gets sacked or moves on, then I've been told from above, the next manager that comes in will be of the same philosophy. So you're not going to have that Poch ball one day, Conte ball the next day, Nuno ball next month. It's going to be a continuity. So it'll be someone like a De Zerbi that comes in, or someone who of that ilk that plays that type of football. Well, that's gone out the window because that's not Thomas Frank. So that whole restructure of the academy, which is dependent on what the first team does, so that that talent can then slide into that first team philosophy, well, that's an absolute crock of shit then that I was sold. And that goes against the restructure of the academy philosophy. So that will be a sticking point, unless what Frank says, right, I can't bring these kids through because they've been trained to play a different way. What I'll do is maybe there's one player that I can pick that can fit into my way, and I'll just take him and work with that. And maybe that's what they're going to do. But that's a shame because our young teams are doing really well. There's a lot of talent coming through now, but the philosophy won't suit what they've just been trained to do for the last 2-3 years. And I tell you now, Simon Davies ain't going to change how the academy teams play. No chance. And if they do, then he's the wrong academy director. So that's going to be a problem if we want to see the youngsters now come through. Something to keep an eye on, guys.
But still, when we play, I mean, Brentford are trying to play more of an attacking and expansive brand of football as the years have progressed, and they probably played their most attacking brand of football last season, where they scored, more goals than we scored, and we scored a hell of a lot of goals last season. Do you not think that for the most part, Frank is probably going to want to play an attacking brand of football, particularly at home against the bottom 10 teams, potentially against some of the top half teams as well, and then maybe when we play an Arsenal or when we play a Liverpool, Man City, maybe go 5 at the pack and just adapt a little bit more?
Yeah, but our academy doesn't play 5 at the back. Our academy doesn't play 3 at the back. Our academy, everything is played out from the back.
But it doesn't have to be the same every single game. If the main philosophy is to play, playing out the back, high pressing football.
Yeah, not every single game, but you're talking about kids that have been conditioned to do that week in, week out, and now saying, right, forget what you've just been taught, do this. Those kids, that's a very difficult transition. The hardest the hardest bridge in football is from scholars, so 16 to 18, to make the leap to adult football. That's the hardest bridge to jump in the player pathway. We've just made it a lot harder by doing this. It defies the whole point of restructuring the academy the way it is now. Up front, yeah, you make sense. But playing out from the back and building up the play to get it to the front, I don't know what's going to happen there with that. Because all our goalies are trained to play it out from the back. All of them. They're trained to play like... that's why we signed Kinski. He fits the way that the academy plays.
That's what I want from the goalkeeper as well.
When I watch Brentford, I don't look at them and think, oh, this is a possession-based football team that plays, let's just call it tiki-taka. I don't look at Brentford and say that's how they go about playing football.
It's because it's Brentford, right? And Frank's had to find other ways to try and win football games because of who they are. But what I'm saying is that as he's progressed in the league, he's tried to do that a bit more.
Ben, I'm not questioning what Frank's doing. I'm questioning how...
I know you're not.
Our academy set up for a manager to be like an Ange, like a De Zerbi, like a Klopp, that type of manager. I think Frank's a bit more bit of this, bit of that, some of that. You know, let's try a little bit of everything as a season. But that's not our academy, guys. Our academy is not that. Our players are not coached to be like that. They adapt formation, so they'll play a 4-3-3. They'll play a 3-4-3. They might even once in a blue moon do a 5-4-1. But the way they play is the same. The formation is different, but the way they play is pretty much the same. So, look, it might not matter if we're not going to use the kids from the academy as much, and Frank's going to just use the existing senior players and sign some couple of experienced players, then it doesn't matter. But just from an academy perspective, this will be. I do see this as an issue.
You're saying it's an issue like maybe Frank will pick 1 or 2 players from the academy to fit what he's trying to do, right? It's never going to be a whole team of academy players coming through at once.
True, correct. I have you right. I don't disagree with that. But it's a shame because our academy teams are doing really well, and they're geared up for that type of football.
Well, it means that they can get sold off to other teams. Then that's what you can do.
If you look at pre-season, it was no surprise that when the B team played during pre-season, the kids, they looked dynamite. And we were all excited. Do you remember pre-season under Ange, the first time he joined us? We were like, blimey, look at these kids play football. It's not a surprise that when we needed a goal against Effingsborg, was it? That team?
Elfsborg, yeah.
And the kids come on and they're dancing around defenders and they're dribbling for fun and they're scoring goals. It's no surprise. That's what they've been coached. So,
the whole.
But you're right. But you're right, guys. If one player like a Mikey Moore and another player like a Donnelly go into the first team and light it up, no one's going to give a shit.
But the thing is, though, still some of the players can be sold on to other teams anyway. If they can't make it into our first team, so we're creating profit anyway. To be honest with you. So I think it's a kind of a
but your philosophy in the academy isn't about profit. Your philosophy is to develop players that can play a certain football that can be successful for the first team.
Yeah, certainly, but not everybody's going to make it though. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you.
What I'm saying is that it's made that pathway a bit harder because it goes against what they said 2 years ago. What I sat in a room. I mean, look, Brian Daigle and Graham were there. I think Phil P was with me, you as well. What they told us, they're now going against that. The way they justified the restructure of the teams, Thomas Frank goes against that mold. This is a versatile manager, someone who can adapt systems. He can do low block, he can do high press, he can do mid block, he can play that system, 3 at the back, 5. That's not the philosophy of the academy. That's not how Man City's academy works either. Pep plays the same way every game, just changes the formation, maybe pushes the DM a bit lower, adapts it, tweaks it every year, but it's still tiki-taka.
If you look at Man City's academy, they've made their whole business model about selling off their academy players, and they sprinkle in 1 or 2 here that actually make the first team. I know Pep Guardiola changes up his system every season pretty much.
Yeah, but he still plays out from the back. He still plays with the high press. He still plays.
But I think we will play it out the back and we will play with the high press most times than not. Like Frank does play it out the back, whatever you want to say. David Raya was his keeper before Flecken, and both of them love to play out the back and played out the back regularly.
We'll see. When I've watched Brentford, I don't look at a team and I say this is a possession-based football team. They don't set out to play a possession-based game.
I don't disagree.
Not that I'm against it, by the way. Not that I'm against. I don't care if we play possession-based football. I just want to see us win. But I do think there's going to be a bit of conflict here with this. But again, listen. At the end of the day, if we're winning games, no one's going to care. No one's going to care. No one will even look at it. No one will think, oh, no, the poor academy, the philosophy's in jeopardy. No one's going to care if we're winning games every week.
I do think that Europa League is kind of hides not everybody. To be honest, and I think unfortunately, it's kind of. Listen, I'm still not there with Thomas Frank. Like I said, I think it's going to take time for me as well. But I do think that if he doesn't do well the next couple of games, I mean, I'm not going to tell people not to support the guy because I'll be a hypocrite because I didn't support Ange and Mourinho and maybe even Conte. But you know, there's a lot of people going to have to. Have got I think that we're just going to have to just the board have got to do what the same thing they did with Ange, stick with him. See how it rides out. Because if he's a coach, and he has the time to do things, you'll see some improvement and upskilling of some of the players that we've got in the season and stuff like that. Really, so
what's he got to do to win you over, Alex?
That's a difficult question, Ben. You know why? Because I just need to see it. I mean, I think the thing is that I can see when I see the videos of him, you can see he's a coach. You can just see it. He's a coach. The things that he talks about developing players. The systems, and when he's in individual training, you see individual training. He's got his microphone and stuff. You can see that he wants to. When they have matches, he's going to each player and say, "Oh, you could do that today. You can do that today. You can do this today. You can do this today." You know what I mean? You can just see it. So it's just that I can only understand the manager when he's here.
Yeah,
I can only understand the manager when he's here. It's okay seeing and analyzing somebody when they're at another club. That's cool, but when you're in another surroundings, that's when you actually see, are you really good? You see what I'm saying? And that's what I understood with Harry Redknapp. Was easy. That was easy. That was an easy one. Yeah, when he came in, because I knew straight away. Yeah, he's my guy. You know what I mean? Because you could see it. You know what I mean? But Martin Jol, Pochettino, never was really convinced when they came here. Never was really convinced, but they just convinced me after a year. You could see it. You could see the development. And when people say about Dembele was only Dembele because of Pochettino. Let's get that absolutely correct. Yeah. Kane was only Kane because of Pochettino. Ali was only, he made that team, Pochettino, like Martin Jol made that team. And let's be honest here, Harry Redknapp's no coach, but his aura, his motivation, and then the coaches that he had around him, which Ange, I don't want to. This is not a bashing of Ange because we've got to move on. But he saw what you see what you're saying. You see what I'm saying? So I can definitely see that he's a good coach. You know what I mean? So I can see he's a coach. What is it? Thomas Frank, and that for me gives me a little bit of hope, you know what I mean? But I'm not going to be one of those guys that are going to be on his back or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm going to be kind of a bit afar rather than getting so heavy or whatever. You know what I mean? Because
no way are you going to stick to what you just said if the results don't go right.
Not
chance.
really. Because I think the thing is though, I think the difference is that I got frustrated with Postecoglou. I was seeing the same things. It was just it was that Man United game. After a week, I was sitting there saying, "Yeah, it's not changing, isn't it? It just isn't happening for me." You know what I mean? And that's when I was just like, "Yeah, I'm done with going to games anymore." You know what I mean? So
I want to see you support him from the first game, Alex. Sing his name.
No. Ben, I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? And the thing is, though, listen. I don't mind. And by the way, you guys, you need to sort out your chat, by the way, because someone said something bang out of order about you, Sim, and I had to put them straight, by the way. So you had to sort your chat about.
I haven't been reading it. What are they saying?
No. They called you. I'm really out of order name. And I was like, no, sorry. And they were trying to justify it. I was like, bro, seriously, sort yourself out in that chat. So
Alex has got your back, Sim.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, because regardless of you're deluded, Sim, he's still my guy, regardless. You know what I mean? You still think about the main. You still give me, you still give me a chance. You know what I mean? It's really nice of you to come and bring me on the show. You know what I mean? I know it's late night. You know what I mean? So, and Sim as well. And Ben as well. You know what I mean? I love you both. You know what I mean? But yeah, just
everyone got love except for me, man.
No, I love you still. You know I do. You know what I mean? But it's their show, isn't
it?
But yeah, it's just I just think at the moment I just think people just need to just yeah, I think people just need to embrace that people have got different opinions. There's going to be people that like Ange and they're still feeling it and stuff. So, if you want to have a go at just have a debate with them and just let it go and that's it. Move on, and just embrace it. We're going to have different opinions and they're going to either come on board when they come on board. But I'm not going to tell people to all come on board with Thomas Frank because then I'll be a hypocrite. I'll be an absolute hypocrite. You know what I mean? So I'm not doing that. That's just not me. But I see your point. I see your point, Ben, because I know what you're like. That's why I love you, Ben. You're deluded in your love for the club, but I love that. You know what I mean? Because I know you love and breathe it. You see what I'm saying? And I'm so glad that you had your moment in Bilbao. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you guys had your moment in Bilbao because I know you.
Our moment, Alex.
No, no. But I know you being there would have been absolutely fantastic. You know what I mean? I know that you've been through a lot this year, and I know that would have been absolutely fantastic. You know what I mean? Because I know, unfortunately, there's someone that's missing in that used to always go to games with you. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? So, so that's why I'm so glad that you got to go. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying.
Did you enjoy it in the studio, Alex?
No, yes. By the way, just to make it absolutely clear, the only reason why I couldn't jump up and down with those two guys, you should see Asthmatic and bloody Marlon. They're big, so you know what I mean. They're very big guys, So as soon as they started jumping, I was like, mate, I'm getting out of this. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get crushed. I'm getting crushed here. You know what I mean? I love them too, but they're
very
big.
convenient, Alex. Very convenient.
No, they're very big. Big and muscly. You know what I mean? So I'm like, bloody hell. I'm trying to get some muscle as well. I'm getting a bit of muscle, but bloody hell, they're bloody tall and bloody. You know what I mean? You get banged out of the place. You know what I mean? So I was like, get me out. Look, I'll leave you not to celebrate, and then I'll start. You know what I mean? And then obviously, Asmatic had his moment, which was honestly, that was brilliant from Asmatic. But which unexpected to be honest with you as well. But it was brilliant. Yeah, I couldn't have it any way other way to be honest with you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but thank you for letting me get into the stadium with those guys anyway.
Oh, no problem at all, mate. As long as you enjoyed it, that's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. But don't get used to me being nice though. Yeah, don't get used to me being nice.
You say that every time you're nice.
Yeah, no. No. I'm only being nice because
I'm kind of used to it now, Alex.
Yeah, no. Mr. Box Office ain't no. Back to business tomorrow. You know what I mean? But yeah. By the way, Semenyo, I'll have that all day. By the way, if we can get him, I'll have that all day. I'll have him all day, every single day.
Would you prefer him to Mbeumo?
I wouldn't mind both of them, but
no chance.
But Mbeumo looks like he's going to Man United, isn't he?
Yeah.
So,
Man United could have a front three next season of Mbeumo, Gyökeres, and Cunha.
Mate, Mbeumo all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can any of them tap in the back post? I don't know.
I'm sure Gyökeres can.
Listen, it's gonna be a challenge this season. But like I said, I think because I was watching Asmatic a little bit on Last Word on Spurs, and he made a really good point. He said, even if you have a really bad start, I don't think it's a bad thing. Because I think it's someone because Gazza had a bad start, and he learnt from that bad start, and look how he finished really strong with the FA Cup and strong in the end of the season. So it's not always a bad
Glasner's a proven winner, Alex. He's a proven winner.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that it's not always bad to have a bad start. I'm not saying it, you know what I mean? So, but there's all these permutations. There's all permutations on this, you know what I mean? So, but I understand why people are feeling the way they're feeling. The only thing I'm a bit disappointed about, I think they could have looked at other managers as well. They could have looked at other managers that that are just not, just not there. Not everyone knows about, you know what I mean? Because there are lots of coaches out there. I've done my research on so many coaches that are, that are unknown. You know what I mean? There's Will Still that you've been talking about a lot of the time that went to Southampton. So, There's loads of coaches out there. So, but
Would you have appointed Will Still?
I think he's a dark horse, to be honest. But I need to do more research on him. But there's a lot of people in Spain, that I think look good for coaching. Very good coaches out there. But this is where the research needs to come into it. Thiago Motta, that used to be at Juventus, he's available now. So there's loads of coaches out there that some of these smaller teams will be getting, and you'll be looking at them and thinking, where do you get that coach from? So, but it'd be interesting to see what Prodigy does when he comes back. Very interesting.
If he comes back, we don't know when he can start working again.
I think that's why Johan Lang's still around. I think that's why he's still around.
The rumors were that Johan Lang will even stay in if Paratici comes back anyway, and Paratici will kind of work above him.
Johan Lang is no good.
I agree there. I think he's absolutely useless, to be honest with you.
We should never have got rid of Gallardo. Gabardini.
Yeah.
When he was good.
I think we should have kept. I think Gabardini's shown how. I mean, I don't think he's the ultimate, because I thought Paul Mitchell was absolutely fantastic, to be honest with you. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. To be honest with you, I've had to have some humble pie on that one, because Johan Lang is absolutely goddamn useless.
For the money Lang just spent and what we've got in return, no, not for me. At least Paratici, you could say, do you know what? He did get Udogie, he did get Van der Ven, he did get Vicario, he did get what's his face? Freaking hell. As much as we might not rate Basuma, when we signed him,
Paratici.
Yeah.
Well, it was before Lang, wasn't it?
Paratici. Even Basuma.
Lang was like September of 23.
Right.
Yeah.
So Paratici,
Bergvall came under Paratici.
Fabio technically wasn't working for us then still, though.
Yeah.
I thought Bergvall was Johan.
Bergvall was Johan.
Didn't Bergvall come? We signed him in January, but he couldn't come until the summer.
Yeah, that was definitely
Johan. But Johan was there already.
That was definitely Johan Lang. Okay. Yeah. By the way,
40 million for Archie Gray is bonkers. It's absolutely
just don't get me started on that one.
The price doesn't make sense.
Lubo loves it.
Signed Brian Hill, mate. That was the worst deal we've ever done. What was it? 25 million plus Lamella for Brian Hill.
There's a lot of
he signed a couple of duds. He signed Gil. He also signed that Italian goalie that lasted one season. Galini, he was terrible. And there was one other player he signed as well that didn't work out. I remember. Chicken Royale. I mean,
I want to know whose decision was Timo, man.
That was definitely Johan Lang. That was definitely Johan Lang. Honestly, that was the worst decision we ever made. Honestly, you're talking about wingers. You're talking about wingers in the past. I mean, honestly, if you're telling me people don't rate David Gidler, you need to have your head a wobble, man. You need to have that. No, someone said about Johnson being better than flipping David Gidler.
No, I mentioned the stat. I never said Johnson's better than Gidler.
Stat. No. I didn't say that you said that he. No, I think someone.
You're calling that out. You're calling that out.
No, not you.
Say with chest, Alex. Say with chest.
No. Because I know Ben's not silly.
He said a stat. He said a stat that Johnson has more goals than Gidler.
No. But that
you said it. You said it.
Yeah, but Ben, you just said the stat. Yeah, you didn't say that David Gidler's better than.
He's implying
the stat is Brennan Johnson has more goals this season than David Gidler has in his whole Spurs career.
Fair enough. But I'll take David Gidler all day long. Sorry,
so would I,
that guy was magic. That guy was absolute magic. Yeah, I'll take
Ginola.
David Gidler was absolute magic.
A little bit overhyped.
No, he's not overhyped. He was
said-
not overhyped.
He didn't score enough goals, Alex.
He didn't score enough goals, but he lighting up. Honestly, I think we would have got relegated without him.
Look how Gareth Bale won us games. Week in, week out, won us games.
I agree.
That's the real deal right there.
Yeah, but still, David Ginola probably won us all the games that we did win.
Exactly.
If you could pick prime Bale or prime Ginola, who are you taking?
I'm taking prime Bale, but
that's my point.
Ginola was.
That's my point.
Yeah, but just because Bale's better than Ginola doesn't mean Ginola wasn't.
You put Ginola in Bale's team.
I never said he was bad. I said Ginola's slightly overhyped.
I don't think he's overhyped. I think there's no way. There's no way he's not overhyped. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but compared to some of the players we've got now,
never went to a top club.
I don't care because there was so many top players
that's a true sign of greatness.
There was so many top players. Are you telling me that Dennis Wise wasn't a good top player? Then he didn't go to a top club.
Dennis Wise.
Well, yes, Letitia.
What did you say?
Letitia.
Even you're shocked what you said. Even you're shocked what you said.
Letitia. See, it's like
of all players to make your point, you bring up Dennis.
What did you just say?
Listen,
Alex, just take it back whilst you can. Just take that back.
I just try and think of something quick. I think of something quick.
I tried to think of something quick.
Matt Letizia is more. Matt Letizia is more the player you're thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Letizia. Yeah.
My lord.
What's his name? Who used to
Dennis Wise was a little thug that used to just run around the pitch being annoying.
Davis. There was Davis for Bolton, I think it was. He used to play for Blackburn. Kevin Davis, yeah.
What, are you going to call him a world-class player?
I won't call him world-class. Actually, no, that's silly. Actually, no, he wasn't a world-class player.
Okay. You're going to put Kevin Davis on the same level as Ginola?
No. Trying to make a point.
Listen, the best Bolton players was
Okocha.
JJ Okocha, Jory Jokaev. Jokaev was a top player.
Yeah.
And then there was that guy that played out wide that was pretty quick. Jason McAteer. Those three were.
Did he play for Bolton, Jason McAteer? Did he?
Is that who we're talking about? Bolton?
Yeah.
Bolton, yeah.
Yeah, McAteer.
What about Stellios
Giannakopoulos.
Listen, man, he won a Euros with Greece. He's a hero.
He was good. He was a good player.
He was a good player, yeah. He wasn't elite. He did the job.
There's so many players that haven't played for top teams back in the day, and they're top players. They're absolutely fantastic players. I just can't think of it on the top of my head. It's just
because football wasn't robotic back then. It was more expressive. It was more instinctive.
Loved Robbie Keane. I absolutely adored Robbie Keane and his celebration. I absolutely loved him. Defoe, I loved them. I love. I mean, then Berbatov. I mean, honestly, some of the strikers we got compared to back then. Oh my gosh, I'll take Les Ferdinand all day long compared to some of these players right now. Honestly. Les Ferdinand, Teddy Sheringham.
Alex, we got a super chat here from Crazy Rat. It says, I got to call Disney. They're missing a prince. Stim.
That Crazy Rat, man. You're crazy. You're crazy rat.
Mate, there was loads of quality. Every team had a quality player. Even at the bottom, you know, Jorginho, the little Brazilian from Middlesbrough.
Do you remember Emerson?
Yeah.
Ravanelli.
There was a player for Man City when they were really shit called George Kinkladze.
I remember him, yeah.
He was dynamite. Andre Kanchelskis at Man United before they became really good under Fergie. He was a top winger. There were so many good players. Spurs had good players back then that weren't amazing, but they were good, like Freddie Canute. He's a good
Remember
footballer.
that goal?
Freddie Canute.
Remember
was
that goal he
just-
scored? Who was it against? Was it against Leicester?
No, it was
who-
against Aston Villa.
No, when
No.
he like caught it on the half volley from like 35 yards.
Yeah, I remember the goal. I don't remember who he played
Who's that
with.
against
Sorry,
him? When Canute hit it on the half
Freddie
volley
Canute.
from like 30
it's
yards.
Everton.
Everton, that was it.
Mm.
What a goal that was!
He was a good player, Canute.
Didn't he score overhead kick on his birthday on his first game?
Against Leeds.
Yeah.
He was so good after he left us.
Why did we sell him?
Because we had somebody, I think we had Mido at the time, and he wasn't getting any game time. I think also we had Berbatov at the time. I think we had too many strikers at the time. And
So
Robbie
that
Keane,
was the biggest mistake we ever made.
yeah. But he wasn't happy at Tottenham because he wasn't getting any game time. I think it was. But yeah, I agree. He found another level in Spain, but I think he just was more settled there. I think. I like Timo Tamio. I like Timo Tamio back then as well. He's a very good utility player as well. There were so many players
The
like.
best thing Timu Tainio did was that shithousery in the cup final against Drogba.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember this guy we signed on his debut? He scored a worldie, Timothy Atuba.
Oh, yeah.
That goal against Newcastle.
Yeah, and then he did absolutely nothing after that.
I remember he had one game where he had made I think 3 foul throws.
It's about right.
He was like Bambi on ice, mate. Like the way he used to run was just like the most unorthodox run. He used to do stepovers in his own half, like consistently.
He scored an unbelievable goal, and then he just went to shit.
They used to call him Timothy Atuba, and I was like Timothy Atuba. That's what you used to call him. There used to be some funny things back then. They used to do some funny things back then, definitely.
Mal Bronk was another one. Yeah, you know what? Mal Bronk was completely wrongly used. He was completely wrongly used at Tottenham.
Yeah, he was good for Fulham as well.
He was an amazing centre mid, and we put him on the left wing. I don't know what we were doing.
I don't know what he was doing.
That was who did that? Harry did it, or
Martin Yole.
Martin Yole did it.
He went to Lyon, and I think he got like League and Player of the Year or something one year. He was amazing for them. Amazing.
Do you know, Sim? I was having this argument with a Spurs fan the other day about who was your favourite midfielder other than the superstars, like the Modric's, all that. And I said, there's one player that was so undervalued at Spurs, and he done well when he left us, really well, but I don't think people really respect how bloody good he was, and that was Michael Carrick.
Oh yeah, I loved him. Yeah. I agree.
He was a
Incredible after he
freaking.
left us.
And he could have left. He could have left if Santini had his way, but because Martin Yole came in after Santini got sacked, he put him straight into the team, and he taken a little bit of time, but he grew into the season. He was absolutely fantastic, and I think his second season was the one, and that's why Man United gone and got him afterwards.
Mate, on the ball, he was a magical centre. He wasn't like a Kaká, a Pirlo, one of those flamboyant superstars of football. But he was such a good centre mid. Like honestly, comfortable on the ball, quality technique. His passing ability was on point. Rarely lost the ball. There's a reason Alex Ferguson signed him and played him in that role. There's a reason he was a top player.
His
my kind of player.
He was a joke. That passing.
And Sim, he popped up with goals once in a while. Some decent quality goals as well.
That one against Sunderland, was it?
For us, he didn't score many, but for United, he scored a bit more regularly.
Scored a few more, yeah.
I remember that game against Roma. They beat him 7-1. He scored 2 absolute bangers. I remember in that game for United. Again, another player underused by England. I think England should have done a lot more with him.
Oh, England always get it wrong. Freaking hell, so frustrating.
I don't talk about England.
You know what? He's a player we could use right now, Michael Carrick. He's like the kind of perfect profile of a player we could use.
I think we'll find that player this season. I think we'll find that player somehow. I really do. I think it's so badly needed. I don't feel comfortable with Bentancur having an easy run in the team. I really don't. I'm not going to call him a Juventus reject anymore because he's won a trophy and he's won a European trophy. So I can't call him that Juventus reject anymore. He ain't Juventus reject. But
Finally,
yeah,
Alex.
no, I can't.
I mean, wait, so Alex, you can't slander any of our players, right? None of our players you can slander anymore.
They need to still get better though, Sim, isn't it? You know what I mean? They can't. They need a little bit more challenge.
Anyone who's won a trophy, I'm not hearing any slander from you.
I still think some of them need to kick up the backside a little bit. You know what I mean? So I do think they still need to kick up the backside. But listen, I can't give him that Juventus reject anymore, man. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that midfield definitely needs improving. Sorry,
Alex, you're going to apologise to them?
Well, apologise to Bentancur.
Yeah.
No,
you've been slandering him for years.
No,
sorry, someone in the chat is saying I dislike Kulusevski. No, I don't. I like Kulusevski. I think he's been overhyped this season. When there was some fans saying he's the best in the Premier League, I said, "Calm down." But I like Kulu.
I think
Helman says throwback selling Aurier was a mistake. Don't think so, mate. Although what I would say is we didn't sell him, we released him, and that was probably a mistake.
I mean, it just went downhill. We got Doherty after him, didn't we?
I'm trying to remember when we released him. Was it under Conte before? No, Nuno. Before Nuno, we released him. And
released under Mourinho.
No, I think he was playing under Mourinho.
No, he was playing under Conte. He was supposed to be playing under Conte because he had a really.
No, he wasn't playing under Conte.
Yeah, Doherty. What? No, no.
Not Doherty. Aurier. I'm pretty sure we released Aurier. Nuno released Aurier.
Doherty came under Mourinho.
2021. He got
released. Nuno. Nuno.
He's a guy from Wolves.
Yeah.
Who, Doherty?
Yeah. He definitely stayed. He stayed until Conte because he had a really good run at.
I'm talking about Aurier.
Oh, Aurier. Yeah, I think Aurier went.
We released him.
Yeah.
How many free kicks and stupid fouls did he give away in dangerous areas? That guy, Aurier.
Oh, so many, mate.
Freaking did my head in.
Didn't he leave the stadium at half time once?
I think he did. Yeah.
Kane and Son were brilliant in that era, to be honest with you.
There was one player in the 90s who I absolutely adored. And thinking about it now, I'm thinking like, why did I love them so much? Like Simon Davies. I got him on the back of my shirt. I loved Simon Davies back then.
Underrated Simon Davies. He was very good at Fulham, actually.
Yeah, he was very good.
Really good at Fulham.
It's because he was an academy player, Ben, and we didn't really have many coming through, and he came through at that time.
I thought we signed him from Peterborough, no?
We signed him off Peterborough.
I thought Simon Davies came through the academy. No, sorry, guys. Do you know what? No. I'm thinking of what's his face, Darren Caskey.
We've got Everton and Davis, and they were brought in together, weren't they?
If you watch Fulham's run to that Europa League final, Simon Davis was very important
because he played in centre midfield.
Very underrated player, Simon Davis.
Who was it? Massimo Macaroni that was scoring every game for them, or was that Middlesbrough?
That's Middlesbrough.
Because he played for Fulham as well, didn't he?
Don't remember. Don't remember him ever being at Fulham.
But do you remember, Sim, how obsessed I was with Simon Davies back then?
I used to love Simon Davis. He used to wear the long sleeves because he wore the long sleeves.
Yeah. And I had Simon Davis 29 on the back of my shirt.
Long sleeve shirts. They were great. Freaking hell, that's a blast from the past. Do you know, I was just thinking who played in the six behind Carrick, and I think it was Edgar Davids, wasn't it?
Davids. Well, Davids played on the left a bit. It was mainly Carrick.
I love Edgar Davids.
That was a 4-4-2. We played 4-4-2 then.
We had
Mhm.
Davis. We had Davis as well. There was this. Is it Sean Davis? We had Sean Davis. Then he went.
Sean
Then
Davis. Who's that?
yeah,
Well, we signed him off
Sean
Fulham.
Davis. Yeah, Fulham.
He wasn't
And
there
then-
for long.
And then he went. I think then Carrick. And then Eddie Davids got signed.
He had Pedro Mendes for a year.
Oh yeah, Pedro. I love Pedro Mendes.
Yeah.
And he was unlucky as well because I think he only went because he couldn't get any game time, and he went to
If
Portsmouth.
that goal at
really.
Old Trafford would have counted, he would have been a cult hero.
Oh yeah,
Alex,
yeah.
Alex, I love how you say you love Pedro Mendes, but then you slander Bentancur.
Oh yeah, but you know, it's what it is.
Oh, yeah. I was a different animal then. I was a very nice boy. You know what I mean? Very naive. You know what I mean? But then I grew up.
If Mr. Box Office was around in those days, what hell he would have given those players.
I was too nice then. I was you know, in a nice, you know, very nice.
Could you imagine YouTube being around in the days where we had Stefan Freund in midfield? What was his name on the wing? Andy Reid.
Jose Dominguez.
Oh, Andy Reid, yeah.
Jose Dominguez.
Imagine the meltdown if we were doing a watch long for that Pedro Mendes goal. Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah. There was a painful moment.
That would have been
You made
a
about-
wild moment.
Imagine doing a watch along for the Man City 4-3.
Oh my god,
yeah.
the meltdown that game would have given us.
Man United 5-3.
There were some games. There were absolutely some games.
I remember the FA Cup. We were 3-0 up against Newcastle. They went down to 10 men and they beat us 4-3.
That's the
Is
Man
that
City game.
the Man
That's the
City
Man
game?
City
That's the
game.
Man City game. That's the Man City
Was
game.
it- I'm sure-
Because Joey Barton
I'm sure-
got sent off, didn't he? And then I can't remember who scored the winner.
Was that? I swear it was Newcastle.
Yeah.
No,
No, it
it
wasn't. It
City.
was Man City.
Did we lose? Did we ever lose to Newcastle 4-3? Was there a game we lost 4-3 to Newcastle?
There
Not
was
that I can
one game I
remember.
remember we lost to Newcastle 3-2.
Maybe it was that I'm thinking
I
about.
think they were down to 10 men. They might have been down to 10 men in that game.
That
Obafemi
Man
Martin
City
scored that
game
mad
was
goal.
Joey Barton got sent off for like arguing at half time.
Yeah. And then it just completely turned. And I think that was when David Pleat was in charge as well.
And you
That
know
was a
what? I've
mad
never seen
season.
that happen since. Like that kind of thing. That's the only time in my lifetime I've ever seen a team 3-0 down and down to 10 men come back. Ever.
Yeah, but it always happens to
In
Tottenham.
any game. That's
Always
not mad,
happens to
guys.
Tottenham.
You haven't even seen it on FIFA.
Never.
We were at
Never.
home
That's
as
the only
well,
time in my lifetime that's ever happened.
But that's what always happens to Tottenham. It always happened to Tottenham that time. At that time.
That would have been a great watch along. That would
Always
have been a phenomenal watch along.
They used to have somebody
Could you
on
imagine
Sky
if Simon was in the studio? If Simon was in the studio, he would have burnt the whole place down.
Yeah, that studio wouldn't have lasted.
But when Sky Sports were doing like watch-alongs, right? They used to have a fan that used to do the reactions.
The fan zone.
Fan zone, yeah. There was one guy, I can't remember his name.
His name
And
was
he was-
Jamie Gascoigne.
Yeah, he was funny. You watch him for the Arsenal 4-4.
I've
Is
seen
he the one that
yeah.
jumped on the guy and took off his top and swung it?
Yeah, I always-
Brilliant.
I
Iconic.
always watched that. That was just like, yeah.
What was it he said? Was it, oh, he's only gone and done it. Oh, he's only gone and done it.
You know, he
Oh.
once, Jamie Gascoigne, it was so weird. He once like criticized us for some reason for doing watch-alongs, saying, I don't know. I was like, you did fan zone. Why are you criticizing us? Oh, hello, he's back from dinner.
Back from dinner, mate. Alana's having an early night. She's got a headache. I saw you were on. I thought, do you know what? You're talking nostalgia again. And look at that smile on Boxy. How could I not have come to get that? That's like a here we go. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. How are you, Boxy? How is everyone?
I'm good.
Brian, he was just telling everyone how much he loves Pedro Mendes, then slanders our whole team.
I heard you doing that, and then you said, "How are you? How are you doing that?" Pedro Mendes, mate, I loved him. I did love, but no, mate, he scored some bangers, didn't he? I remember being in a bar.
Go on, Brian, go on.
In Tel Aviv when that Manchester United goal went in.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Talking about random players that I love for no reason. For some reason, I loved Milenko Simovic. I just loved him. I don't know why. He was terrible. But I just loved him.
Were you at the game when he missed that open goal against
I was
Fulham?
at the game, yeah.
Gosh.
I just loved the number 21. It was like my favorite number, 21. And
Anyone wearing 21 was a problem.
I just really liked Simovic. He actually turned out
Do
to
you,
be a Red Star.
For who?
Red Star Belgrade.
Do you remember two players? Sim, do you remember two players back in the day? One was called Koluka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other was called
Berbatov
Cranchar.
right backs. And Cranchar, of course.
Yeah.
The Croatian guys.
They were good. They were decent players, actually.
At one point, we had 4 Croatians in our squad.
Nico Cranchar was a very good player, by the way.
Luka and Lennon had an amazing dynamic on that right hand side.
Yeah.
I did not like Corluka one bit. I didn't. I thought he was so.
I love
Get him off.
I thought he was so
Remove him
overrated.
immediately. Remove him.
I thought he was so overrated. I really did. But Cranchar, I loved Cranchar.
He was unlucky, wasn't he? Because of Gareth Bale's, he became the player that he became.
Koluka was just so silky. I loved him. He was so languid and just like he was just so great.
Yeah.
Little
He
pass
just
behind
right
and
back, though. He just wasn't athletic at all.
don't know how he managed so long.
Like when he was at us, he was fairly young. He was like in his mid-20s, and he was playing like he was 36.
Yeah, literally.
Because so many things back in the day that was so, even though we weren't that great in certain spells, but I could just remember it so well because it was just, it was really good. When you got little successes, it was just really good. Even those Carabao Cups and League Cups. The first one I saw was 1999, I think it was. Best time.
Alex, do you know what it was? Alex, do you know what it was? Football it didn't evolve around money. It just evolved around supporting your team.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
And creating a good atmosphere and having a paper ticket that wasn't expensive. It was just a proper football club. Now it's entertainment venue, business, corporate structure, financial fair play. It's just
like Stell, how often did we ever have back in the day conversations about look at our wage budget, look at our net spend? When did we ever start talking about this shit?
Sim, so this is what I was saying the other day. When I started coaching, like they teach you to just take a step back and just observe and see who talks to who communicates with who sits by themselves, and just you observe social behavior. And when I used to listen to the kids talk, it would be like, nah, Jermaine Defoe's better. He's going to score more goals than Henry. Nah, Henry's the best in the world. And they'd argue over players, like who's got the best player, who's got the best. About 3-4 years ago, I was listening to the kids talk. Yeah, but when we get the war chest right, we're going to have £100 million, and then we're going to be able to afford to buy this player. No, because your FFP rules are going to stop you from buying this. And I sat there thinking, oh my God, these are young kids having spreadsheet conversations. What happened to football? Like, where are we going with this?
PSR parameters, mate. We got 200 million. Who you got? You're minus 15, mate. You're minus 15 million.
And this is how they are. This is how they are because they're all in the computer games now.
Oh my God, here we go.
This guy. This
crazy rat again.
Ben, Bryan, Stellio, step aside. Sim's unmatched. His talent's wide. YouTube's king. With naught to hide in every video. Endless pride. The best far and wide.
Just give him a medal.
He's making poems.
But mate, just give him a medal for that super chat, man. Because honestly, that was good. That was good. Creativity, that was good.
It weren't as good as the one on this morning's show or this afternoon show. This morning for me, where he said, "If anyone tries to get to Simeon, they have to go through me first." That's the super chat. Simeon's got protection.
God, who is this guy? It must be someone we know. They're spending a lot of money, whoever they are.
Well, they're based in America. Or
Canada.
dollars.
And credit to him, it's always at least a £5 super chat as well. Never like a £2.
It's nice.
Brian, isn't Canada when it says CA, then the dollar?
CAD is Canada.
Is that what it is?
So this is normal American dollar, this one.
Well, it could be Australian either as well, couldn't it?
I think Australian, yeah, it could be. Could be Australian, yeah.
I think I'm done, guys. I think I'm going to log off. You can carry on if you want.
Yeah, I'm pretty knackered, not going to lie.
Guys, I thought we were going to talk about the 70s.
We'll leave that for tomorrow, mate. We'll leave that for tomorrow.
Late night, We Are Tottenham TV is life.
Yeah, cool.
As long as Sim is alive, I always have hope for Tottenham. That's a good way to end it, Rovshan. That's Rovshan. It's someone else.
Simeon, you are getting some some high praise over the last week.
Mate, this lot wants a statue of Sim outside the stadium. This lot, I tell you.
They want a statue of. Okay, I can't say his name now. Anyway, moving on. Sorry. We're having good vibes.
Don't mention it, Alex.
Brian, were you listening to the part where we were talking about top players, whether Ginola was as good as Bale?
No, I don't know.
Right, so we were talking about elite players, right? You know, is Ginola better than Bale, and who would you pick? And Alex goes, yeah, but what about Dennis Wise? I swear to God. Unbelievable.
Oh, brilliant. I wish I had been. I wish I had been. That's fantastic, honestly. But yeah, we'll let you go to bed. You guys are light. I keep telling you, it's 9 o'clock in the evening. What the fuck are you doing? Lightweight.
See you lot, guys. Yeah.
Ryan, box office, Stell. Sim, I'll see you tomorrow.
Crazy, right?
Everyone in the chat, big up to you as well. We'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on.
Frank.